Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
The time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Wednesday, May 29th, 2019. In the headlines today, Ashton Kutcher at trial testifying about his witness account of the murder of a friend February 21st, 2001, the night of the 43rd Grammys. Put out a video just about an hour ago on this, and I missed the big piece that this was connected to the 43rd Grammys. The name of the killer that the trial's about, his nickname is the Hollywood Ripper, a play on Jack the Ripper, and the trial's going on while he's 43 years old. And if you look up the dates of the Jack the Ripper killings, they supposedly began April 3rd, 4-3, like 43. And again, this killing that Ashton Kutcher is connected to happened the night of the 43rd Grammys. He was supposed to take out this young woman on a date for a Grammys after party, but instead she wound up dead. And now they wait all these years until the killer's 43 years old to have this trial. And keep in mind, 43 is the 14th prime number. This woman ended up dead 14 days after Ashton Kutcher's birthday. And of course, in the code of letters and numbers, killing equals 43. There's a whole lot more to this riddle. Check out the video I put out earlier. The one piece I missed was that it happened the night of the 43rd Grammys. And with regards to the Jack the Ripper murders happening on April 3rd, or beginning that date, 4-3, that's the 93rd day of the calendar year. And in the code of letters and numbers, Grammys equals 93. Go figure. There's a whole lot more to this. Just real quick, Hollywood Ripper, that nickname, it sums to 211, just like Jack the Ripper sums to 211. 211 is the 47th prime number. And they said the woman was stabbed to death 47 times. Two of the three victims of the Hollywood Ripper were stabbed to death 47 times apiece. So there's a whole lot more to it. Check out the video I put out. You know, we could talk about all the news headlines by the numbers, but I don't want to bore you to death. I think it's more fun to take the callers. And I see this week we have Young Decoder phoning in. I thought Young Decoder had left us behind, but Young Decoder, you're second in line. I'm going to go out to Minnesota first, Young Decoder second, Montana third, Pinehurst, Texas fourth, New York fifth, Washington State sixth, New York seventh, and that's where the line ends right now. So if you want to call in tonight, the number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. I suggest calling in now before the line gets long. That said, let's go out to Minnesota. What's going on, Minnesota?
Hey, what's happening, brother? This is the Starface. I'm also a timekeeper, and I'm also known as Timekeeper Oshioma. Great to hear from you, brother. Thank you for letting me have a moment.
Of course. Thanks for calling back.
If you looked at the hockey game tonight, number 13 scored the first goal, and he scored it at 15-16, and that equals 31.
Huh.
And then number 91 scores at 5:05.
Huh.
So you see, I mean, they code everything like that.
I see the score.
Pay attention. And then
I just had to look it up since your timeout. I see the score is 2-2 at the end of the first period, and of course Boston equals 22. So nice tribute there as well.
Yes, that's all. But I want to hit a little bit on what's called a czar. I want people to, okay, you watch the commercial where you can look at yourself in the mirror and you can work out with the mirror.
Oh, I have seen that commercial actually. Okay, I have seen that ad, yeah.
Okay. Well, what that ad really kind of is building up to is what's called a czar. That's where actually the Russian czars get this word. And what it is some women from Sudan can actually call spirits, and then the spirit will possess you, and then but also you get to go in the spirit world and use the abilities of the spirit. And I bring this up with the mirror because the mirror is the same thing, and it's not an avatar. So when you look at that mirror, you can create what you think you've worked and you look like.
Huh.
But what's different is it's a reality where you can become that. So that in the mirror becomes you, but you get to go into that mirror realm. And so that's what that shows. And so that's all a little bit I had. Oh, the two goals tonight definitely manipulated. The first shot that St. Louis made, you couldn't tell who scored. It came from the right side, but it was definitely, and then it was another one that was a miss where you could see where somebody was manipulating it and it didn't go in. So, we always catch that. But thank you, and that's all I really have, brother.
Appreciate it, friend. Always interesting. I'll have to check it out. Thank you so much. You have a good evening.
Okay. Thank you. You too.
With regards to what he's talking about, manipulated hockey shots, it was probably a couple months ago now. ESPN showed this highlight, and they put the bold print on the screen, and the highlight said, "Is the puck," what they hit around in hockey, the black card thing, "is the puck a warlock?" And that's because if you're familiar with a hockey skating rink, you have the goal on each end, and behind the goal you have the boards. The ball or the puck hit off the board, bounced backwards, and then from its bounce, shot right at the net all on its own. Pretty much impossible. And again, technology in sports is a real thing. Let's go out to Young Dakota. How are you this evening?
Hey, Zach. Sorry I haven't called in quite a while.
Well, that's okay. You're a young man. You got things to do. What's going on?
Yeah, well, I felt the need to call in, with all this stuff happening in the culture. And I feel like we're straying from morality and going and doing all these crazy things. Like, this whole transgenderism thing is being normalized. Society today is just so sexualized that everybody's just having abortions now and not really caring about anything and just, wearing these not so appropriate clothes, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
And it's just kind of thick and everything getting thrown out the window. And I don't know, when you were a kid, did it used to be like this?
Well, everything is becoming more severe, if that's the right word. I just have to ask, since you're a young person, you're 16 years old right now. Is that correct?
I'll be 16 in August.
Okay, birthday's coming up, so you're still 15. So, I mean, you're a young person, so your perspective is what you've grown up with, and really you've grown up with this generation where things have been this way. So when you're voicing this opinion, are you echoing your parents or people in your family or teachers or?
No, not really. I think a lot of the teachers and even my parents are okay with this. They want to be accepting and all that.
Sure.
But I just see it as morality getting totally thrown out.
Sure. So your own moral compass inside just tells you what's going on in mainstream society isn't right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
I'd say that's, you know, it shows that you have a good moral compass. And I think, honestly, most people do when they're born, but I think a lot of people just get corrupted from living in this world. But yeah, we just live in crazy times, and there's an absence of truth, and just everything's so backwards in the media and the programming. It's like they're trying to make it so society doesn't know which way's, you know, up from down. And yeah, it's like CNN, one of their top stories today is a boy that's like a transgender model. And yeah, you're right. I mean, they're just normalizing it everywhere. And I agree. To me, it's just interesting hearing you say it, because I'm thinking, well, you're only 15. So, I mean, this is like the world you've grown up with, and in your cognitive years, this is the way it's been, but you just know inside. So
it's so stupid. Like, one of my cousins is like identifying as gender neutral, but you know, it's like you may think something like I may think that I'm 50 years old, but I'm not 50 years old. And then what the government will do is they'll put a bunch of money into, you know, put out this bullshit study that'll try to convince you that, you know, these people really are women when they're totally not. It's just ridiculous, man. And the same thing, you know, and they make it sound convincing. You know, I wouldn't blame a lot of people for falling for this, so they gotta wake the hell up. And the same thing for like socialism as well. You know, give all the money to the government, and the government's gonna provide everything for you. You know, like, why don't I just keep the money for myself so I can choose what to buy?
Right.
Just everything on. You know, this and you know, you may think that we're taxed a lot now, but you know, some of these candidates that are getting put up, you're gonna get taxed a ton. You know, this Medicare for all thing. You know, you're gonna get the health care, but then, you know, you're gonna be waiting a year to get you know, surgery to get a hernia removed or something. And everything's gonna be rationed. The whole country's gonna go to shit. Sorry, excuse my language.
Yeah, you're right on. So, love the young perspective. Well, what have you been staying busy with lately? School? What's going on?
Yeah, I've been a little busy at school. Then rock running too. Just got back into the baseball in my first game.
Okay.
But yeah, school done. I don't know, this math class I think was kind of hard, but everything else wasn't too bad. So
yeah,
just got to study more. You know, stay awake. I just felt the need to call in. I've been feeling the need to call in for the past few weeks because I'm seeing the brainwashing, you know, being more and more reflected on my fellow classmates. So, you know, just know that not everybody in my generation thinks the way that the media, you know, portrays them to. So, thank you so much and have a nice night.
All right, buddy. You have a good night too. Good to hear from you.
All right.
Take care, man. So that's Young Decoder. He's been calling the program for probably a year and a half now. And his voice has gotten a lot lower in the time we've known him. It's funny watching people grow up. Both of my nephews, well, my oldest nephew is now older than I was when he was born. But my two oldest nephews, their voices are so low now. And it's like, how did that happen so fast? But my oldest nephew even kicked my ass at tennis by the numbers. I hadn't played tennis since I was about his age. I used to play a lot when I was 18. He's 18 years old right now, plays on the high school team. I had to play him. He gave me his backup racket, which wasn't the nicest thing, but it was funny. Organic code by the numbers. We played tennis for the first time for me in about 18 years. We played on a date with 36 numerology. Tennis equals 36, and he beat me 6-3, or from my perspective, I got beat 3-6. And I said, look at that. Got beaten tennis by the numbers. But that said, let's go out to Montana.
Hey there.
Hey, what's up?
I've been following you for a while, and I really like what you do.
Thank you.
So I was wondering if I was trying to purchase a couple books for some people that I work with, you know, your book.
Right.
But I was just kind of wondering if it's like too deep for like most people to get. You know what I mean?
Well, it might be, but I think if most people read the first chapter, the first 2 chapters, I think they'd find it really intriguing. I wrote the book so, you know, it would jump out at everybody from the start, and I think most people can appreciate the first 2 chapters. Maybe some of the later chapters might get too deep. But just as an FYI, again, my book is an ebook. It's an instant download. You're welcome to have it printed out.
Oh, okay.
You only need to buy 1 copy. If you buy 1 copy, I mean, you could theoretically print multiple copies. I've always told people, if you buy 1 copy, you know, forward that copy to everybody on your email list and say, hey, read this book. And if you really want to support the work, you know, go pick up a copy yourself. But really, if you buy 1 copy, you could theoretically mass email it to 1,000 people. So.
Okay. So, like, I didn't really expect to get on today. I just, you know, got a little notification that said, you know, you're doing a radio show, and I just happened to be over with a couple buddies and figure, you know, let's talk about some gematria.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you called in. You called in early, so you beat the line.
Do you have any thoughts about the next presidential election?
Yes. So the next presidential election will be the 59th. And that number comes up again and again and again and again in Black history. Negro, slave, blues, they all equal 59. And we saw Camilla Harris announced by the numbers. We saw Cory Booker announced by the numbers. In light of The Simpsons having the prediction that Trump would become president and he would be followed by the first female president, I'm wondering if Camilla Harris might be the candidate for the Democrats, since she's the Black woman in the race. And I'm anticipating it'll be her versus Trump. So well, that's my thought for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have you seen the Simpson stuff where Trump gets assassinated or he dies or whatever?
I have seen that, and I think I have an older video on a channel that got deleted. I know my blog post is still up, so I'd have to go back and look at that. I don't remember the information off the top of my head, but there were a lot of interesting things in that.
Because I've been following you for a while, but then for a while I couldn't find you. Like when I was like, you know, a youngster, I was listening and I was like, oh, look at this stuff. This is crazy. And you said some stuff on Sandy Hook, and I was like, you know what? This guy's legit.
Very cool. How old are you now?
I am 24 now.
24. All right. So if you've been following me for a few years, maybe you were right around 20 when you found the work.
Probably like 17, maybe.
Really? Okay, a long time. Wow, very cool. Well, thanks for sticking around all this time. Time flies.
You do a lot of good work for the community.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you called in. Are you a first-time caller tonight?
Yes, I'm a first-time caller. I'm kind of nervous.
Well, you sound great, so never would have knew.
I just wanted to say it's kind of hard nowadays to find any like real true information about stuff because there's so much disinformation. Like there's other people that do gematria and they're just BS, and it just bothers me.
Sure.
You know, there's so much fake stuff going on, and it just drives me crazy.
Yeah, I know. It is too bad. There's so much deception and manipulators and pretenders, and it is. I mean, that's part of what got me into this, because I just saw that it was like the truth community was missing evidence and logic and rational point of views. And when I started this work, my whole goal was to bring something real and undeniable that people who care about truth could use to really prove what's going on. And I think I've been successful in that, but still it hasn't reached enough people. So that's why we're here every day trying to spread it.
Do you ever think about like making a movie or anything?
Well, I would definitely need some help with making a movie, but yeah, I think that would be cool. I've talked about in the past, going city to city, doing some type of tour, interviewing people on the street, going to the site of where some of these atrocities reported in the news have happened, put together some sort of documentary type film about getting the knowledge out and showing what's really going on in the world. So that's definitely a goal, but that's something I would need help with. I'm no filmmaker, that's for sure.
Well, I like to tune in. You always, give me some stuff, and I'm like, what the heck? How did all those connections get made? The news is it's just crazy, and then I hear it on the radio, and it just kind of upsets me, but I can't, just tell everybody,
I know there's a lot of people that they just don't want to hear about it, so it's too bad.
Did you find anything about Memorial Day that happened this, Memorial Day?
The shooting over the weekend, or what specifically?
Did you find anything new that you didn't cover on your channel?
I don't think so. I could dig more into the history of Memorial Day, but I know it goes back to the Civil War, and Memorial Day equals 116 like country, and Civil War was about establishing this nation as it is. But I'm sure there's something more there, so I could do some more research.
I was watching a video the other day about the false flag that started the Civil War. I didn't get super far into it, but I thought that was kind of interesting.
Huh. Well, I could do some research on that, so I'll look into it. You're talking about the ship cannoning the territory off of the Carolina coast?
Yeah.
Yeah, and only a horse died?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you for being a first-time caller, and thanks for hanging around so long. I appreciate it.
I will have to call back in another day.
Very cool. Look forward to it. You have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. All right. Let's go out to Pinehurst, Texas.
What it is, Zach? How you doing, man?
Hey, thanks for calling.
Okay. The Virginia Cavaliers won the men's NCAA Division I lacrosse championship this past weekend.
I did not know that.
They won it 13-9.
Okay,
so
familiar
that's
numbers.
Like September 13th. So there was a insightful commenter on my post when I put that on one of your pages. I forget what video I put it on. And he said, that is the 88,888 days since the founding of the Bavarian Illuminati.
Huh, and that equals 139.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. So it's two Division I championships that the Cavaliers got this year.
Well, and what else I'm thinking of now with this Illuminati thing is the basketball team, Virginia Cavaliers, won it on April 8th, the basketball championship, 4-8, and Illuminati alone 48. So I'm going to have to look at that. That's very interesting.
Okay, so the school that they beat was Yale.
Okay.
And we all know what Yale is for.
Yeah.
The home of the Skull and Bone.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I'll look more into that. I'd like to see the spacing. Do you know what day they won it?
They won the Memorial Day.
Oh, they won it.
Men's Division I lacrosse championship is always played on Memorial Day.
Oh,
always.
Didn't know that. Okay, so they won it May 27th.
There's an historical reason why that is that way, because lacrosse, as you may or may not know, comes from a Native American game, Pagotaway, or Little Brother of War.
Huh.
And when the Jesuits first came over to the United States, or what is North America, especially in the Algonquin region between Hudson River Valley and Ontario and Quebec, they saw a lot of the Mohawk Iroquois tribes play it. And since the stick looked like a bishop's crossiere, they called the game Coups à la crosse. And that's where the game gets its name from. But in the United States, what was in the United States is played by two distinct tribal groups, the Algonquin tribal groups and the Muskego tribal groups. So like the southern tribes, like in the Mississippi area where they have the 5 civilized tribes, they played it with 2 sticks. And it's the oldest continuous played competitive sport in the United States. Because it wasn't derived from any other European sport.
Very cool. I didn't know any of that. While you're saying that, I thought about how from the basketball championship to the lacrosse championship was 59 days later, and Freemasonry equals 59 in Hebrew and in English, and Freemasonry is also 139, like that score 13-9. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, yeah, these are very insightful. In the semifinal game, Virginia actually won that game on a technicality against Maryland. Virginia had a goal that was considered a goal that really wasn't. Okay. So
hey, sit tight right there because the commercial's about to start. We'll be right back after the break to continue the conversation. Be right back, everybody. The music should be kicking in any second. Okay. As I said that, I don't hear any music, but it's supposed to be playing right now. So we'll be back after the commercial break in just a moment. Okay. If you're listening on the phone, I know you hear my voice right now and the commercial. I apologize. Only you can hear that if you're on the phone. People who are listening through the radio or the TFR site, they don't hear this. I am talking over the commercial breaks because I'm also streaming on YouTube. And what I've done since I started streaming on YouTube is I interact with the chat during YouTube. And I see a lot of people saying, hello, everybody. And somebody asked if I could make them a mod. I'm not going to make anybody a mod just because next thing I know, people get banned, and then I'm responding to emails about why did I get banned. And if I see anybody trolling when I take a peek, I'll get rid of them. But yeah, I had plenty of mods, and it just created more problems. So. Okay, just scanning over the chat here. I'm not going to ban Jakan. He's usually a good contributor. I don't know why we would ban him. He has been kind of, I don't know. He's been a little bit different lately, but I know he contributes well, so he's not getting banned. How long is the call line right now? It looks like there's about 10 people on hold, so it's actually not that long. If you want to call in, I would call in right now. Well, I don't know why he's being accused of being a troll. I will say he's been a little bit suspicious lately. I've seen him chopping it up with the trolls on my Patreon page, but I'll still give him the benefit of the doubt. The JFK Jr. stuff, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I think we're coming back from the commercial right now, so we're going to go back to the calls here in just a moment. All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. We're taking your calls the rest of the show. The line isn't too long right now. There's about 10 people on hold. It can get a lot longer. If you do want to call in, I suggest you do it right now. 213-233-3998. We're going back out to Pinehurst, Texas. We were getting a history lesson on lacrosse. Welcome back.
Okay, so one of the things that
Caller?
some feedback here.
The call broke up a little bit there.
Okay. Can you hear me now clearly?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. All right. One of the things I wanted to mention was that throughout from the time that Virginia Cavaliers reached the semifinals in the men's Division I lacrosse championship, actually before it was the quarterfinals, they kept saying, "This is a team of destiny." Okay, and they kept emphasizing that. Now, destiny is 96-33, 93-39. So, and then the other thing is that I'm sure you're aware of this, that Virginia Cavaliers on the reverse full reduction is 118.
Right.
So it's pointing to that auspicious date ahead of us.
Right. Yeah. Indeed.
Pretty interesting, but it's like, and they were a dark horse in the tournament. They really weren't supposed to pull it out. Yale was better, and so was Penn. Penn State.
That is interesting, but yeah, I see the connection between the two championships, basketball and lacrosse, in days. So definitely something going on there. It's been a year of Virginia.
Virginia, yep. You called. I went back over your older videos to see if I can get some other clues, and I couldn't dig up anywhere. I'm sure there will be ones that will emerge as we go forward.
Something else.
One last point, and this is what I'm.
Something else that just jumped out at me is just about the name Virginia. Virginia, with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, sums to 53. So does Memorial Day. Kind of like how in the basketball tournament, Virginia won with 53 points. In the Sweet 16, 53 is the 16th prime. Why we saw 16 points in Super Bowl 53. But one more reason for Virginia to win on Memorial Day. So,
and if you add 9 and 13, that's 22.
Right.
Yep. So 22 is a master builder number. Okay, one last point. This is on a different subject. In the Arab News, there was an article titled "Why Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque Matters for Muslims."
Huh.
And that article was, let me see, 2 days ago or a day ago? It was a day ago.
I'm looking it up. Did anything jump out to you in the article?
Well, they focused on, they interviewed a lot of people who attend the mosque, a lot of Palestinians, and they are asking them, why is it so important to you? But the significance of the article was the fact that this place of worship for these people has been highlighted over the last couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
In Arab News, why Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque matters for Muslims. Curious title, too. I didn't know that the Al-Aqsa Mosque was 144 square meters, 144,000 square meters.
Huh. And this is year 1440 in the Islamic calendar, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, for people who don't know, again, on the day that Notre Dame burned is the same day that Al-Aqsa Mosque burned, which is the third most holy Muslim site. And what connects those two buildings in history is the Knights Templar, the Masonic organization that goes back to the Crusades. The Knights Templar, they had their leader burned at the stake in front of Notre Dame. And they also used to use Al-Aqsa Mosque as their base, and they used to refer to it as Solomon's Temple. So, yeah.
Yep, that's the extent of my insight for this evening. So I thought you might find that interesting for you and your audience.
I do. I appreciate that you tipped me off to it. I happened to notice that headline. I just had to run the gematria on the headline real quick that you're talking about. And that headline, if anybody wants to search it, is "Why Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque Matters for Muslims." That headline with the alphabetic order sums to 561, which is the 33rd triangular number. And we know who likes 33, but yeah, I'll look more into that. I appreciate it.
What? That's compelling.
Yeah. All right, man. Great call. You have a good evening.
Okay, take care, Zach.
Take care. Thanks. Yeah, appreciate that history lesson. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is our brilliant caller out in New York.
Thanks again, Zach.
Of course, welcome. Thanks for calling back.
Last week, some people wanted to know my name. So they just called me New York.
Okay, if you want to put it out there.
Well, my name is Rambo, R-A-M-B-O. That's not a nickname. That is my actual name.
No one's going to forget that name. Yeah. No one's going to forget that your name is Rambo.
Yeah, well, I was born before the movie came out, so, I was named after that. But
sure, but very memorable.
And I know some people may think I just moved to New York because I don't sound like I'm from New York, unlike the other New York callers who definitely sound like they're from New York. I actually was born in New York City, but I've been around the world, so that's why I don't have that accent. I was actually born in Mount Sinai Hospital, and you know how that name comes up a lot in our decodes.
Yeah, you're right about that.
But yeah, so yeah, Rambo from New York. I'd also thank that lady. She said she used to work for the White House. She had some very kind words to say about me, and I just like to thank her. So I hope you're not disappointed. I got pretty good feedback on what I talked about last week on the TON suffix. So you said you were going to look out for it in the future. Did you notice any TONs?
Well, it's right there in my mind, but this week just decoding it hasn't come up yet, but sure enough, it's going to, so.
You actually did stumble across one later in the show, but you didn't notice. You talked about Marilyn Manson saying Satan, meaning Satan.
Okay, sure, so the sound is the same, ton, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so the consonants are the same, but the vowels interchangeable. So T-E-N and T-A-N and T-O-N. So I'll talk about that. But I thought you might stumble on that one, but I don't think you didn't notice it. But I'll talk more on that one. So so last week I spoke about the use of the suffix ton, T-O-N, as a satanic Illuminati code and signature in naming people, locations, and in ritual. I got this information from listening to Jay Parker, the most substantive Illuminati whistleblower, being from the DuPont dynasty. The DuPonts are headquartered in the state of Delaware, whose biggest city is Wilmington, T-O-N, the Illuminati satanic suffix. I gave the example of Nike, a major Illuminati entity who's headquartered in Beaverton, Oregon, and whose main poster child, Michael Jordan's father, was sacrificed at Lumberton, North Carolina. Lumberton and Beaverton matching up in Gematria. Illuminati insider whistleblower movie maker Stanley Kubrick knew and employed the code in his classic Eyes Wide Shut, a movie that got him killed, in which the location of the iconic ritual scenes was called Somerton, Somerton, whose exterior was actually in reality a Rothschild castle. Huh. And where do some Rothschild and British and world nobility and royalty and general or world elite attend university? Eton College.
Yeah. Okay.
One of the most significant Illuminati monuments is the Georgia Guidestones. We know they are in Georgia, but where in Georgia? Alberton, Georgia.
Of course.
In investigating the use of ton in elite sorcery, I noticed that it is usually used in association with key numbers like 110, 119, and 114. The grandest of Illuminati sorcery rituals is the 9/11 World Trade Center event. The new World Trade Center is located on Fulton Street. So you have 10 and 911 or 119 as well as 110 in that ritual. The towers were each 110 stories high. In Gematria, Rockefeller's built the World Trade Center. Rockefeller sums to 110. Osama bin Laden sums to 110. Washington, D.C. was also part of the 9/11 ritual. Virginia State Route 110 runs past the Pentagon and Arlington National Cemetery. In Gematria, Arlington comes to 110. The interior of the Eyes Wide Shut Somerton, where the iconic ritual scene takes place, is in actuality a building called Elvedon Hall in Suffolk, England. Elvedon Hall has Gematria of 110 and matches Arlington perfectly in 3 out of 4 ciphers. There's also the Charleston, South Carolina church shooting in which Dylan Stormroof is said to have shot up an African-American church, a shooting that officially ended at 9:11 p.m. Dylan Stormroof was convicted on January 10th at 110. So you have 10, 911, and 110 in the ritual. January 10th is the birthday of Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who some believe to be the Moshiach, or Antichrist, who headquarters at 666 Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, New York. Kushner was born in Livingston, New Jersey. So that's 110 and 10 together in Jared Kushner's birth. Aleister Crowley was born at Royal Leamington Spa. Last week, Zach, you mentioned that Church of Satan's most high-profile and recognizable member, musician Marilyn Manson, said, "Say 10, T-E-N, subliminally referencing Satan, T-A-N. The consonants T-N are what is most important here. The vowels are interchangeable. So T-A-N can be T-E-N or T-O-N, ton. Where was Marilyn Manson born? Canton, Ohio. The gematria of Canton, Ohio is 114. So you have 10 and 114. The Church of Satan, established by Anton LaVey, who upon his death bequeathed the leadership of the Church of Satan to his wife, Blanche Barton. LaVey's birthday is the 11th of April, 114.
So ton accompanied by 114, which is what we see coded all over the April 15th, 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. The Boston Marathon started in Hopkinton and ended on Boylston Street. The winner's full name sums to 114 in Gematria. That's Lelila Desisa Benti. His birthday is January 14th, 114. Boston Marathon bombing comes to 114 in Gematria. It was April 15th, 2013. Ives of April comes to 114. Ton, T-O-N. In the most appropriate cipher, the satanic cipher, ton comes to 154, like the date 15/4, 15th April. The Boston Red Sox went on to win the 114th World Series. So there was ton and 114 in ritual magic. Also remember that Nike is headquartered in Beaverton, Oregon. Nike's founder is Phil Knight. In Gematria, Phil Knight comes to 114. As does LeBron James, whose marketing managers are the owners of the Boston Red Sox, Fenway Sports Group. In 2013, LeBron went on to win regular season MVP and finals MVP and an NBA title. LeBron James and Ives of April supermatch in 3 out of 4 base ciphers. King James, his nickname, comes to 154, like the date 15th April. Who was matched up in the NBA on April 15th, 2013? It was LeBron James, Miami Heat, at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Perfect for a LeBron James tribute. And in the George cipher, Heat comes to 114. So you have ton, 114, and April 15th in ritual magic. Another synergistic use of ton, April 15th, and 114 in history is the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, who was shot at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., and moved across the street to Peterson House, where he died on April 15th. Peterson, P-E-T-E-R-S-E-N, has gematria of 114. And that name Peterson is interesting because it came up again in Biggie Smalls' ritual killing, because the after party to the event he hosted, I think it was the Soul Train Awards, was held at the Peterson Automotive Building, and he was shot right after he left that Peterson building. So that's kind of interest to that name comes up, like Peterson 114. That's where Abraham Lincoln died on April 15th in Washington, D.C. So again, that's the synergy. In the year 1970, there were not one, but 2 aviation disasters in the United States involving college football teams. One was the more famous Marshall University plane crash. The other was the Wichita State University crash, the earlier of the 2. Ton and 114 was encoded in these events. On November 14th, like 1970, Marshall University football team was returning home from a game against the University of East Carolina. Home for Marshall being Huntington, West Virginia, whose airport was Milton J. Ferguson Field. The plane took off from Kingston, North Carolina, November 14th, 1970. The date of the crash, 11 plus 14 plus 19 plus 70 comes to 114. The 2006 Hollywood movie about the team and crash, We Are Marshall, starred Matthew McConaughey. Why did they pick Matthew McConaughey to act in that movie? Because his birthday is November 4th, 114. That fatal trip was flight 932. If you spell out flight followed by the digits 932, you get Gematria of 114. Just 43 days earlier, on October 2nd, 1970, Wichita State University's football teams plane crashed in Colorado en route to Logan, Utah for a game against Utah State. In between the 2 points, the plane made a stopover at Stapleton International Airport in Colorado. After leaving Stapleton, it eventually crashed at 1:14 p.m. 114.
Amazing.
If you spell out 11-4 and compare to air disaster, you get a near perfect match in all four base ciphers. Both are 132 and 51, ordinal and reduction. In reverse ciphers, 11-4 sums to 147, air disaster sums to 174. 11-4 sums to 48, air disaster sums to 84. In the ultimate act of cruel irony / sadistic mocking / predictive programming, Wichita State's home field, completed and named a year prior to the crash, is called Cessna Stadium, financed and sponsored by Cessna Aircraft, and so named to this day. The evening of the plane crash, a memorial was held at Cessna Stadium. This year, on February 7th, a ritual / news event occurred utilizing the TUN 114 synergy. Rock musician Kyle Yorlitz was reportedly robbed and killed outside his home in Nashville, Tennessee, bringing racial animosity and division to a fever pitch in the region and across the country. Yorlitz was white and the assailants were black. Kyle Yorlitz's band is named Carverton. Yorlitz in Gematria sums to 114. The band's Twitter handle is @Carverton Band. Compare Carverton Band to Church of Satan. Carverton Band 137, Church of Satan 137. Carverton Band 56, Church of Satan 56. Carverton Band 214, Church of Satan 214. A super match in 3 out of 4 base ciphers. Church of Satan, founded by Anton LaVey, husband of the next church leader, Blanche Barton, Anton LaVey's birthday being 11th April, 114. So that's some synchronicity that I noticed.
Yeah, very interesting. When you were talking about 110 in ton, it made me think of Columbine, because the other town besides Columbine, the day of the Columbine shooting, was Littleton, and that shooting was on the 110th day of the year, April 20th. So, yeah, you're picking up on some great patterns.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good observation. Yeah, that's so there's definitely a pattern there.
Yeah.
In the rituals.
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, brilliant as always, friend. And I know the tons are going to start coming in my own decodes. I mean, I was thinking about it this week, but no towns came up in any of the stories I looked at with ton. I'm sure there's probably something out there that slipped through the cracks, but obviously something is going on with that. So my eyes are open.
You can also look back at some events that happened in the past, not necessarily like recent ones, but
of course,
just kind of re-examine because, yeah.
Right. No doubt there's something going on there. So we've learned something new for certain through you. You've taught us a lot of new things in the time you've been calling in. So I'm focused on the ton thing. And I'm always thinking, yeah, I live in Washington. I'm trying to think of what other states have the ton ending, but Washington's one of them. So.
I mean, there are a lot of names with ton, but not every single one of them necessarily. I mean, they may at some point be used in a ritual.
Well, it makes sense that Washington has the name in it in light of what we're talking about. I mean, it's also the nation's capital. It's named after the first Masonic president. This is their thing. So I am definitely paying attention.
All right. Have a great night. Good rest of the show.
Appreciate it, friend. Can't wait for your next call. You take care.
Thanks.
All right. Take care, man. So next up, speaking of Washington, our next caller is from Washington. Washington, I'm going to wait until after the commercial break because we just have a minute until the commercial. I don't want you to get rushed. So as soon as we come back from the break, we got Washington, New York, another Washington caller, actually. Huh, that's funny. Richmond, California, Missouri, California, our great caller from the Bay Area, New Jersey, and Vermont and Wisconsin. So that's the order. If you guys can be patient, I'll definitely get through all those calls. Well, we got 30 seconds till the break. There was another shooting today in the news. You might have caught that out of Cleveland, Texas. We've talked about how Wednesday seems to be a favorite day of the week for mass shootings reported. That's because Wednesday sums to 44, shooting sums to 44. The shooter today is named Pavel Vito, which of course sums to 44. It happened in Liberty County, Liberty's 44. And there's a whole lot of other familiar numbers. I did put out a video on this today. Today has 73 date numerology. They said the shooting happened at 7:30 at a plumbing company 73. A sheriff's deputy got shot, 73, and a whole lot more. We'll be right back, everybody. Okay, apologies to the people on the phone. I know it's annoying hearing my voice in the commercials at the same time, but again, we are interacting with the chat during the breaks, and hopefully there's less fighting going on in the chat now. I'm always looking for good questions during the break. Somebody says hello from Brazil. Very cool. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Maybe that person shared a story or the news to some of their friends and family about the death of the pop singer down there by the numbers. Another musician dead in a plane crash. Dana's going to be paying attention to mass shootings on Wednesdays. Seems they happen at least once a month. And notice, I mean, they really have become background noise. Today's shooting was never even a top headline from the moment the news broke. It was way down the page. You know, if you read carefully these articles, it'll say, according to the authorities, according to the police. So it's not hard to see who's carrying the narratives. What's up, Michigan? The date August 11th is a date we've been talking about since September of last year. It's Tisha B'Av, the day of Jewish tragedy, the day to remember the destruction of the two temples. There were articles put out around the time of September 11th saying the third temple's coming, Armageddon's coming, and the prophecy of the third temple is connected to the destruction of the two temples, which again is remembered on Tisha B'Av. So we're keeping an eye on August 11th. With regards to two temples being destroyed, 118 days before August 11th this year, that was April 15th, that's the day Al-Aqsa Mosque burned and Notre Dame burned, two religious sites. 118 till 11/8/118. And again, Al-Aqsa Mosque is in Jerusalem. The two locations that we're really keeping an eye on for August 11th is Jerusalem. And another city I'm interested in is San Francisco because the Golden Gate Bridge is there. And the Jewish prophecy is that at the time of the third temple, the Jewish Messiah will arrive through the Golden Gate, which of course is in regards to the Golden Gate in Jerusalem. But for most of us, when we hear Golden Gate, we automatically think of San Francisco. And in the past year, we've noticed that 118 is a very important number to San Francisco throughout their history. The permit for the Golden Gate Bridge was put out August 11th. Alcatraz opened on that date, plus a whole lot more. London Breed's the mayor of San Francisco. Their birthday is August 11th. Yeah, I think I looked up the London Breed thing. I think when I was just looking for August 11th, San Francisco. Let's see. I think we're coming back from the commercial break here.
Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
You have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. We got 2 hours left. We're taking your calls. And up next is Washington State. Washington, how are you?
Hey, Zach, my name's DJ. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for calling in, DJ.
It's my first time, yeah. I've been listening September of last year, and you, along with a couple other things I've been listening to, have really just kind of broken my brain in terms of what the world is and having a sober view of that. It's something that I'm building. I don't know where you stand, because you've talked about the Bible here and there, but you never really said whether you're a Christian or not. But for me and my faith in God, I have hope for our world, because I know, like, he wins, you know what I mean? But in terms of just all of the Masonic and just satanic influences going on, do you see any hope for that personally from your perspective? And I have a couple other questions if I can. I'm actually a delivery driver, and I'm keeping my customer waiting because I did not want to miss the call.
Well, if you need to go do something right now, I can put you on hold and I can go back to you after the next caller. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, that works. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, because I don't want you to get in trouble with your job. So I'm going to come back to you after the next caller. You just need a few minutes, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I'll come back to you. I won't forget. So do your job, and we'll be right back.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Let's go out to New York. New York? Wait, maybe that didn't work. Let me try that again. New York, are you there?
Hey, what's up, brother?
All right, there we go. That now we're working. Thanks for calling back, man.
Yeah, I was waiting for you. How you been? All right?
Been doing all right.
Good, good. Couple things here. You gotta keep your eyes open in the magazine, tabloid, TV, how they put things. I got an article here in the Daily Star for UK. It says Mount Everest climbers trek past frozen corpse on peak that has claimed 11 lives in 9 days. How convenient. Of course. So basically, in 9 days, you got 11 people somehow getting slaughtered up in the mountains. I'm not sure what's up there, Godzilla or whatever. But it's just the way they put it in there, 11 lives in 9 days right there, some, BS story. And they encode so many stories. Like, you just have to believe that. Like in 9 days, you think after the first day, people will say, "Hey, something's wrong here. We'll stop climbing the mountain."
Right. Yeah.
It's just like, oh, that was five guys died. Oh, let's go up.
I know, man. It's insane the way they code the same numbers over and over and just put them in people's faces and expect people not to see the patterns. So
honestly, I think on the flip side, there's probably guys in the Illuminati that are like on the reverse, like we're the truth community, they're probably in the lie community, and they're probably calling up and they're getting annoyed of how poor they are. fooling everyone.
So it seems.
What if they all talking like, hey, John, let's go try to put 9/11 again. What are you thinking, a movie song or a rap album? I don't know, all of it. I bet they're just as bored, like it's the same monotony, And
right.
So here's another story right here in the Newsday. The date of the story, I don't know, but it was the Newsday a few days ago. And it says Cuomo unveils new design for 33rd Street entry. Now, of course, it's talking about Penn Station. But right at the back, you got 33, right? 33rd Street entry. Now, listen to this story. So, of course, it says totaling $600 million. So, of course, you got 6. But it goes into the story about it will be a gateway to what's going to be a world-class facility. But here's the key. It's world-class with a dash. So, in reality, it says it will be a gateway to what's going to be a world-class facility. It's going to be another world. And the entrance will be a triangular glass supported by steel. So it's going to be a pyramid. And it will be illuminated. It's like why don't you just next time say it? Manly Behold, we're doing stand-up 9 to 5 every Friday night. It's, in this story, it's going to be a glass triangle. It's going to be illuminated. It's on 33rd Street. It costs $600 million. And, it's Satan in a park tree. It's almost like I'm getting tired of even looking at the papers because it's getting so stupid. It's not even hard to read. I mean, do you think that's a lot in one story, how stupid it is?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just the same thing every single day. And the most amazing thing to me about this work that I've done over the years is that somebody else didn't do it first because it's just been going on for so long. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it says, it will expand the MTA a width of 30 feet to 60 feet and the height from 7 feet to 18 feet. So, of course, it's going to be, you have 30 and 60, you have 3 6s. And then, of course, it's going to go to 18 feet, which 18 feet is 3 6s. It's just stupid. It's just put it in every possible way, and I just bring it up only because, I'm not sure if somebody was aware of that story. And not that the story intrinsically means anything, but it just, bottom line is everything that's going on in this world, it's like they're making fun of everyone, and most people are just oblivious to it. And I'd say maybe I don't know if it's too dumb and maybe they can't handle it. The last thing Christ said, I was talking to the stash about the last thing Christ said on the cross was, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." In reality, what he said was, "Hey, God, forgive them, they're a bunch of friggin' morons," So the last thing he said was, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." A guy that doesn't know what he's doing is an idiot. So Christ said that the last thing before he died, he's like, "Listen, I came here and they're stupid." So most people, let's be real, are stupid. They can't even hand, compound interest on a credit card, how they're getting screwed, let alone Gematria, So, all I can say is I enjoy the truth community in the sense that you guys are a bunch of bright fellows and we could agree or disagree on things, but intellectually still get along and let's not ever put each other down because everyone's here bringing something different to the table, And but I enjoy the intellectual ideas out on this channel. It's refreshing because most everything I look at my TV. My TV's a mirror. I don't even put it on because it's so stupid. Sometimes I put it on. I go, ugh. I'd rather look at it blank.
Sure.
And I call it the black mirror. That's all it is. Oh, I got a black mirror. Yeah, I got a 50-inch black mirror for sale. Anyways, I want to thank you so much for letting me talk, and I hope that the stories that you guys want to look at them and be aware on the codes they put on these news stories. And it's just almost boring at this point. It's stupid. So.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, it's great to hear your voice. Appreciate you calling in this week, and thanks for the laughs and the information. I got that headline up, so I'll take a peek at it after the show.
Absolutely, brother. Hey, God bless. Take care of yourself, all right?
All right, man. You have a good night.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, but always great to hear his voice. His buddy is normally they call him together. His buddy's on hold. He's the next caller, but I'm going to go back to Washington State first, just because he said he was in the middle of work and he didn't want the call to get missed. So I think he's back. Washington, are you there?
Hello, how you doing, Zach? DJ again.
All right. Are you good to talk now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so go ahead, ask me the question again, and I will do my best to answer it.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. I did also want to add, or not add, but just attest to what the last gentleman said as well. It really is so great to see such intellectual individuals in one community, and you really are bringing that together. For me, I'm a musician. I play 5 instruments. I'm a rapper. I'm a singer-songwriter. Between this year and next year, me and my friend have a plan in order to like really become poppin' and stuff. He believes that the government's behind all of it, but he doesn't believe in the satanic influence aspect of it. For me personally, it's my goal to like, it's just, for me, I can only make music about what's in me. I can only be authentic about it. And with all that, all of this masonry and stuff that I just found out about within the past 6 months. Sorry, this gentleman is being very rude on the road. But with all this stuff, it's just, for me, I'm just like, okay, obviously I cannot fit in as another quote celebrity. That's just not who I am. But how have you seen kind of the forces that come against all of this masonry and all of the shadow government stuff? How have you seen them react in terms of, is there retaliation against people who are speaking the truth? Why aren't you afraid to be speaking the truth? Like you mentioned, you wanted to make a movie. And that's something that I feel like everybody is going to need to see. However, with the movie industry as what it is, how do we expect it to get popping? You know what I mean? Same for my music. I'm trying to paint the picture.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Let me respond to some things you said, because you're bringing up a lot of ideas. I just want to go back to what you said about, this influence in the government, and you think it has a satanic element, and your friend's right that there's some corruption there, but he doesn't agree on the satanic part. And I think it's because a lot of people don't really understand what the tenets of Satanism is. And essentially what it is, right at the core, is it's self-worship. It's putting yourself ahead of others. And, it's essentially based in dishonesty. And I think your friend, if you put it that way, he'd be like, okay, yeah, the government's dishonest, and obviously it's putting itself ahead of the people for some, for some other agenda and purpose. So, I mean, if you understand what Satanism is, I don't see how you could see it as anything but satanic, what's going on with our government. So I just want to make that point.
You're right. I should say that, because I think he associates that immediately with like specifically worship of the devil. He's like, I don't think the devil has any power, which is just like, first of all, there's so much wrong with that. But secondly, like exactly what you said, it is self-worship. Thank you.
Right. So you're right. When most people hear Satanism, they think of like, people in cloaks and worshiping Satan, which that probably is going on in certain places, but really what it is just self-worship and just saying like, I'm the center of the universe and whatever I need is more important than what everyone else needs. And honestly, I mean, when you think about it, based on that definition, which truly is what Satanism is, you'd have to say that Satanism is kind of the religion of the world, because that is how most people are operating. So,
yeah, that's really true.
You asked me if I was Christian. I don't describe myself as a Christian. I was raised Lutheran. I was kicked out of confirmation class as a child for asking too many questions, and that's kind of when I had my religious fallout. But I've always considered myself a spiritual person, and I grew up in the church. I was Lutheran, but my parents had me in Catholic school for preschool, kindergarten, first grade, because they had all daycare. So I spent a lot of time in under the care of nuns and whatnot. But I'll always remember Sister Jenny. She was a nice lady. But I got the teachings, and essentially what I took away from my religious upbringing is, living by the golden rule. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. If you see that somebody needs help and you can help them, then you should. And, you should be about more than yourself. So I don't consider myself a Christian, but I definitely have, and what I'm saying, I mean, those tenets pretty much apply to all spiritualities. So I just try to be a moral person, a spiritual person, but not a religious person. So.
I understand, yeah. Okay, and then the thing is like, I've watched you so long. You and I will end up being friends. I just know that, because I don't want to. I know that for multiple reasons, but I don't want to, enter that world without. You know what I mean? Has a celebrity ever reached out to you personally?
Well, you know, that for a while I used to do a radio show every weekend with a guy named Jeff Young, who's not a well-known celebrity, but he was the guitarist for Megadeth for a while, and he reached out to me, and we kept in contact for I forget how long it's been. I've lost track of time. I must have done his radio show and been in contact with him for around 2 years. But we had a falling out over the Las Vegas shooting. So anyway, but that's the closest I could say to a celebrity reaching out. So
information you have would couple so well with a mainstream platform, as mainstream as it can be. You know what I mean? The loudest voice that can be said. And I just feel like I just have a lot of faith for things that are going to happen within the next couple of years. And you have a lot of wisdom behind you. You have a lot of knowledge. You like to ask questions. I'm very similar in that aspect. And I just appreciate what you bring. Does that make sense?
Sure. Thank you.
Like the same way you have questions, I have questions that way. And I can't necessarily sit on Google and ask those questions. But even being on the phone for the first time with you, and I'm sorry to sound like so nervous, but like, I don't know, I just don't want to waste your time.
Well, you're not. I always love first-time callers. It's always nice to talk to new people. Are you in the Seattle area?
I am. I'm in Tacoma.
Okay, Tacoma. All right. Yeah, I was living in Seattle when I was doing this research. I recently moved to the middle of the state, but yeah.
Is this the number that we can reach one another by, or can I give you my information? You can contact me when it's convenient for you.
Well, here, no, everybody has a number they can contact me on. I have a Gematria hotline, and I answer it anytime I can. The number's 509-731-0567, and you can text it, you can call it. I'll always pick up when I can.
That was 509-731.
0567.
0567. Okay, thank you. And then my final question was like, why aren't you afraid of retaliation against you?
Well, you know, it's not good to live in fear, and I feel like there has been some retaliation against me already. I heard you say you've been following for 6 months, so things have been pretty good for the last 6.
I'm sorry?
Well, so in the time I've been doing this at my old house, where I lived before was just north of Seattle in Bothell, if you're familiar with that town. And while I was living there, my address got put out. There was actually a lot of YouTube channels that posted my video too, or my address. But I was getting threats in the mail, these letters, these weird cryptic letters, you know, saying, oh, this day will be your last day, et cetera, et cetera. I had a car crash through my house on Christmas Eve. There was another YouTube channel who made a video a few days for that, asking if I knew the numbers for Christmas Eve, and I better be on the lookout Christmas Eve. And lo and behold, a car crashed through my house that day, which was a major disaster. And then that same person a few days later made a video about me and a dead squirrel, and then a dead squirrel showed up right in front of my house. I'd never had a dead squirrel on my property before that or any time after. And I showed both of those videos to the police, and they just shrugged their shoulders and said, sorry, there's nothing we can do about that. I said, really? But
wow.
This past August, I had the FBI come to my house and accused me of saying something I never said, which I laughed at, and said, show me the evidence. And they said, oh, I got the evidence right here on my phone. I said, okay, play it. Then he scattered through his phone, and he's like, oh, that's weird. I thought it was on here. I was like, I never said that. So anyway, I mean, yeah. I've had to deal with some harassment and whatnot, but you know, it's just like I don't. The other thing that happened to me is right after I covered the mass shooting at the high school, right around voting time up in Marysville. Right after that was the time I tried to do on the ground reporting, tried to go to the school and get information. Shortly after that, I came home and my whole house was burglarized and torn apart. I don't think that was any accident. So yeah, I've gone through some things for doing this work. So, but
wow. Well, thank.
It's never made me want to stop. So, yeah. It never made me want to stop, though. I mean, I see myself as a man on a mission. I've been fed up ever since September 11th. So, you know.
Well, I've been looking out a lot for August 11th. Honestly, a lot of people don't believe this a lot of this stuff. And for me, I just say, from now on, I just all I have to say is just wait till August 11th, and if something happens, talk to me, and then they'll be open to it because it's proof. Because need to believe anything. But like, that's just what I've been going back to. I'm afraid for it. Not afraid personally, but just afraid for like what that means for our nation next. Like, it's just going towards such a direction where they can get away with more and more. And it's just, we're passive.
Sure. And I would say, regardless if anything happens August 11th or not, the direction of things isn't going to change. They're building the surveillance police state where no one will have any freedom of speech. And, you know, it'll be either, you know.
Where?
Say that again?
What did you just refer to?
I'm just saying, if something happens on August 11th or not, the direction of things isn't changing. I mean, you can see what's going on if you're awake. They're building a surveillance state. They're building a police state. They're taking away liberties. They're taking away freedom of speech. You know, and they're able to do it because the corporations, these giant technology corporations, are really the government. But they, you know, because they're private companies, they have the right to censor speech. So, yeah, you know, personally, it's very likely something does happen August 11th. We already saw the burning of those two religious structures 118 days till the day, and that was no accident. But again, I always say to people, I mean, rather than say like, just wait for this day and make a prediction, because the risk you run is if nothing happens that day, then people are going to say, see, there's nothing to worry about. And what I can say, because I've been doing this for so long, like I told everybody to circle the weekend that became the Vegas shooting. And I said, look, this is probably going to be the biggest false flag since 9/11. So we've already called dates way out in advance, and they've come through. But people, I mean, every single day, there's something in the news you can show people to say, see, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. Like the Ashton Kutcher thing today is something that you can show to somebody. And I mean, so.
When I clicked your videos when you were getting done talking about that, I don't know what happened.
Well, check out the video I put out later. I already put out a video earlier today. The only thing I missed in that video is that they waited to have the trial for this killer at age 43. And they compare him to Jack the Ripper. The Jack the Ripper killing started on April 3rd, 4/3. And the story today is from the night of the 43rd Grammys. That's when this murder happened, way back in 2001. So, I mean, just things like that. If you show them to people, they should be able to go, okay, that seems way beyond coincidence. But, friend, I really appreciate I really appreciate you phoning in. I'm going to go to the next caller just so we don't run out of show, because there's still a lot of people to go to. So be sure to call us back, man. You keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. You keep it up as well, Zach.
You're welcome. You have a good night.
All right. God bless you.
Thanks, man. All right, let's go to New York City. What's going on, New York?
What's up, brother Zach? How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right. Thanks for calling back.
Yeah, I'm missing my right hand over here, but he's over somewhere else, so we'll hook up. Great show. It's always good to see some new blood in there. New callers, good stuff. And that guy from New York, he's insane. And dude, I met him. His name is Rambo, and he's the real deal. And he needs to be your right-hand man with the Gematria stuff, because he's excellent. So big shout out to everybody, including Big Rambo. I met him personally, got a picture. It's really cool. It's a good group of people. And real quick, where am I going to go with this first? Okay, let's go to the number 770. Shabbat headquarters is called 770 for the address, they say. 770 Eastern Parkway, Brooklyn, New York. Zip 11213. They build replicas of 770 all over the world. Why? Because there's 770 miles between the Grand Mosque in Mecca to Temple Mount, where the two mosques sit. They have to take down before they can build a third temple. The Grand Mosque is in charge of the Temple Mount Mosque. There lies the conflict, the 770 conflict. The Gematria of Bez Moshiach, or it's called the House of Moshiach in Hebrew Gematria, equals 770. If you write in the address 770 Eastern Parkway, Brooklyn, New York, and that equals 115 in full reduction. A president of the United States equals 115 in full reduction. President Donald John Trump equals 115 in full reduction, as well as Scottish Rite of Freemasonry equals 115 in full reduction, and Israeli Prime Minister equals 115 in full reduction. And you should also recognize this number 770 770 Eastern Parkway, Brooklyn, New York. It equals 322 in English ordinal. That's all from the fine work from the lady that does Decoding Satan under the article number 770. Just put out today. Real quickly, jump into the next thing. You know, it's not easy to determine who are more criminal. They who make their way to places of power by trust or indirect means, or they who have little concern for the welfare of their country. You know, my friend, this enemy that we have is an insidious one, and it seeks to divide us, and it's destroying the very foundation of our nation. Okay? So, but your excellent work, Zach. I applaud you. You know, that young caller that just called in, you know, he's like, oh, you know, how come you do this? Aren't you afraid? And I call you the man that's got a balls of steel. Okay, he's been relentless. He's been through the fire. And as a little boy, this young man, he's not a young man anymore. He's a middle-aged man, Zachary K. Hubbard. He had a little prayer as a little boy, and this really touched me. He said, you know, he wanted to relieve the suffering of, you know, the world that he saw, not just in his house, but in his neighborhood and the world. And he said, God, if you're real, give me something to help relieve the suffering. So this is where this man comes from. He's a righteous man. Regardless of what belief he has or not belief he doesn't have, doesn't matter. He has the right spirit, folks. And I thank you and I applaud you for that. Real quickly, getting back to Galatians 4:16.
Caller, sit tight. We're going to commercial. We'll be right back, everybody. Apologies. Okay, apologies. The commercial break snuck up on me, so we will finish this call when we come right back. Again, if you're on the phone, I know you're hearing the commercials right now, but I am interacting with the YouTube live stream over the commercial break. Somebody says we need better commercials. I think some of the commercials they have on there are pretty funny. The commercials could be worse, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my man Jakon. I don't know if it's somebody else created his same account name and is impersonating him. I just don't know what's going on. But for over a week, he just hasn't been himself. I don't know what to make of it. Somebody says a YouTuber with 1 million subscribers brought up the subject of Gematria, but he did it on his backup channel, Solomonati Roast. Okay, I gotta look it up. I'd like to know more about how he brought it up, but that is interesting. What do I eat for dinner? Well, lately we've been eating a lot of quinoa. We've been putting different things in quinoa. Quinoa with vegetables, quinoa with, dressing, salsa. We've been eating a ton of quinoa lately. Last week I was eating lepeto. If you saw last week's show, I was eating lepeto. That's a Burmese traditional food. We eat a lot of that too. So we eat a lot of vegetables over here. Explain the swastika. Well, it's one of those symbols that had its original meaning hijacked. And thank you for the super chat as well. And if anybody else gave a super chat, thank you. I haven't been looking at the chat every second. So at the end of the show, I'll check out the super chats and answer all those questions. But the swastika, from what I understand, it was a symbol of peace and love before it got twisted into what most people now recognize it as because of World War II. So, and that's a common theme in this world, twisting things around, turning them upside down. It's kind of what the powers that shouldn't be do. The whole world of celebrity. Somebody's saying something sketchy about Ashton Kutcher. Just the whole world of celebrity is sketchy. Bitcoin. That's something I'll get educated on when I'm at. We're coming back from commercial. I'll get my Bitcoin education though when I'm at this Anarchadelphia conference, because that's a big theme there. All right, we're coming back. All right, we're back, True Seeker. We're taking your calls. Our last call got interrupted by the commercial break. I heard the word Galatians, and then the music kicked in. So let's go back to our friend so we can finish his thought. All right, we're back, caller.
Okay, thank you, Zachary. Just one quick point. You got feedback, Zach, or something?
Well, you're a little bit broken up on my end. How's that?
Yeah, I think that's better. I don't hear the feedback here. Okay, real quick. Thanks again for all you do, and I'm really thankful for this community. Galatians 4:16, and therefore I become your enemy because I tell you the truth. I think all of us can relate to that, because once you've seen the truth of what's really our world is about, we become an enemy of many people for telling the truth. I know I can relate to it, and many others. My friend out there, Big Al, and even Big D, and people that I know, other people. But what's really important to me is really we need some activism. And when you come to Philadelphia, I'll be there, okay? Because I'm not going to go to no conference because I don't trust this guy Passio. I refer to him as Pussy Passio. I know a lot of guys like him, and you might like him, but I sure understood that and how he was dismissive with you at first, and he pretended like he didn't know Gematria, and he was familiar with occult Gematria and all this other nonsense. So I smelt a rat. And then I Googled a couple of his things that he did, and you know how he was proud that he was appointed by Anton LaVey for the Church of Satan. Whatever, he's informed from that now, I guess. But all I can say is tread carefully, my brother. You know, you're a very wise man. There is much controlled opposition out there in the truth community, because whether it's Alex Jones, David Truth, or Ron Paul, I don't trust too many people. But I do trust Zachary Hubbard. You are the real deal. I trust that guy Rambo, Big D, and a few others. But thank you so much for letting me rant. But, you know, just be careful, Zach. I will meet you there in Philadelphia. But I ain't paying $350 for some paying somebody's account. He's been doing this 11 to 12 years in this freedom movement, and nothing's really happened. I'll be ready to do activism with you. And whatever we got to do, we're going to do the best we can, and we'll leave the results up to maybe the creator. Bless you, brother, and be safe. Always a pleasure.
All right, appreciate it, friend. Great call as always. And I do hear you on the warning. And yeah, I don't know why the ticket prices are so much. What I want to do is find a park that's right by the venue. I'm still waiting to get what my schedule is going to be while I'm there so I can work this out. But I'm thinking a park might be a great meeting spot. I guess weather permitting, but I imagine that time of year it's not bad. But a park could be a good spot.
It's beautiful. Fall time, great time of the year. I know a good place to have a nice breakfast. You know, down there in Philadelphia, I've done some tournaments with my kid who plays ball. I know the area. I know New York, of course. So we'll take good care of you, Big Zach. I'm looking forward to it. And just keep up the great work, man.
All right, very cool. Hey, call me sometime and let me know some spots, because maybe I can plan out some dates for these cities and good spots that would be to meet up, since you know the area. I'd really appreciate that.
Oh, not a problem, brother. Look forward to it. And like I said, just buyer beware, you know. Like I said, Ron Paul, David Duke, whoever, it doesn't matter. Controlled opposition, there's a lot out there. You're a hot commodity. They'd love to try to control you, but I know there's no control in Zachary K. Hubbard. Because gentlemen and ladies, this guy, as one lady, one of the new callers said, this guy is the real deal. He's no pretender. I've seen a lot of pretenders in my day, trust me, okay? And you're not going to hoodwink Johnny Stash in New York. Because if you're not going to touch the third rail, which is the Israeli lobby, which Zach has hit, he's went after the synagogue of Satan, Zionist fake Jews. And trust me, you know, and it's the Jesuit order, and it's the fake Protestants, and, you know, the whole 9 yards, the Freemasons and all that stuff. But you're right on cue. So enjoy. And like I said, you are the man, Zach. Look forward to, I'll call you on your line and we'll chat.
Thanks
all
again,
right.
friend. Look forward to that.
Peace.
All right. You have a good night, man. All right. Always a great caller. Wish everyone was so supportive. That said, let's go out to Washington State. Not normally so many callers from Washington State. Very interesting. What's going on, Washington?
Hi.
Hello.
Am I on?
You are. You might want to mute the video in the background, though.
Okay. Hold on. I'll do that.
No problem.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Return to call. Okay. I can't hear myself.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, caller?
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Yes, perfect. There we go.
Hi, I'm Kathleen. I've left comments in the past. A couple of times they've been kind of rough because you were doing a lot of games. But I'm from Tacoma. I'm a grandma, and I do research, but I've always been into numbers, and I never really understood why. But I have this history of seeing a series of numbers in all over the place. And the one thing and I get the book, and I'm going through it slowly, and I really appreciate the chapter that you left for your parent. It warms my heart. It touched my heart. Okay. And maybe one time I need to perhaps get a hold of you, because some of the questions I have to do with series of numbers, 31 and 30, that run through my family in such a way. These people they're not here anymore. And it's just, I never know what questions to ask to put it all together, if you know what I mean. I lost my son. He happened to have been born April the 8th, 1983, a few months before you were born. He was born at 6 minutes after midnight. Had it been on the 7th, it's just those numbers. But anyway, when they're on, and I don't know what to say. There's so many questions I want to ask you. One, more to congratulate you on your subscribe. I've watched your channel go up, and kudos. I know numbers. I look at it as a language. You know what you're doing. You're an expert in this. This is what you do best. Stay with it. Glad to hear you got out of Seattle. You know, I don't know what that's. Oh, when the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl the second time, I wanted your opinion on what I called, and I did call him out publicly on ESPN and others, was Pete the Cheat Carroll and Tom Brady, and the last throw. Why did that happen?
Sure.
In numbers.
Okay, so you're actually talking about
I'm not very good at explaining myself.
Sure. You're actually talking about the third time the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl, right? Because they went to the Steelers years ago, then they beat the Broncos, and then they lost to the Patriots. You're talking about the game versus the Patriots.
Yes, Tom Brady, the cheat. I call him the deflator. and Pete the Cheat Carroll, who threw that game.
Right. Okay. So if you go back and look at the deciding play in the Seahawks-Patriots Super Bowl, where they were right at the goal line, they got Marshawn Lynch, who always carries it for at least a yard. The game was in the bag. There was hardly any time left. The Seahawks are going to run it in and win the Super Bowl. But instead, for the first time in the entire season, with the Seahawks at the 1 yard line, they decide to throw the ball. All season, they've been able to run it in from there. Okay, so
why did Pete the Cheat Carroll do that?
So it was all numbers. So you got to go back and look. The date was February 1st, 2-1. The down was 2nd and 1, or 2nd and goal, 2nd and 1 on February 1st.
Yeah.
If you go back and look, it was Russell Wilson's 21st pass that got intercepted by number 21, and he went to the ground with 21 seconds left. And what's interesting about 21 is if you write it out as a word, 21, it has a Gematria value of 42, and Washington's the 42nd state, and the Patriots became 4-2 in that Super Bowl, and it was played in Arizona, and Arizona's 42. So that was the ritual.
Wow. And I'm thinking, was Marshawn, I'm thinking wrong about this. Wasn't his number 12?
You know, I honestly don't know off the top of my head. But Russell Wilson, for the game, he was 12 for 21, if you go back and look at his stats. 12 completions on 21 attempts.
See? I was like everybody, my apartment, and I know our grandmother, and my own place, it's awesome. And my neighbors, everybody was and I said, no, Pete Carroll, I call him Pete the Cheat. And I got a hold of ESPN and emailed and Facebooked and everything, called him out, and I got a bunch of hate. I couldn't care less, because any coach that would do that at the last 2 seconds, with Marshawn Lynch not really knowing it was coming at him, it was an obvious cheat.
Well, and the other thing about Pete Carroll is he used to coach the New England Patriots.
Really?
Yeah, he coached the New York Jets and the Patriots before he coached the Seahawks. Yep.
I knew he did the Jets, but I didn't know he did the Patriots.
He did.
And what is it with Tom Brady being 42 and going to this last Super Bowl, winning a 5th time?
So he was 40. He was 41 years old. He'll turn 42 August 3rd this year. He's 41 still, but Super Bowl equals 41. Super Bowl equals 41. 41's the 13th prime number. The Patriots won with 13 points. They put it away with a 41-yard field goal to score those 13 points.
Yep.
But that's why we had the Patriots pegged to win the Super Bowl this year before the season began, because we knew it was all about Tom Brady and being 41 years old, and he defeated LA. LA equals 41. So
LA 41. Yep. I'm just I'm blown away, because I've known about numerology, and I used to call it Gematria. I didn't, years ago. And I've always I look at it as a language, and I'm always doodling. But these numbers that I have that with my family, it's not bizarre. I just kind of want to figure it out. Oh gosh, there was a question I wanted to ask you. When you're trying to figure out something like, for instance, my grandmother, I have 3 siblings that are all born on May 31st, different years, no C-section. My great-grandmother passed away on May 31st. This past February, a year ago, my son was up here from Oklahoma visiting, and it was February the 9th, which happens to have been the day that my son died, the one that was born in 83. He was just short of 24. And I came in, and on the atomic clock that belonged to him, it had jumped to 531. So I have my son come in, my older son. He looked at it and he's kind of, Mom, you're being a conspiracy theorist again. I said, no, Brandon, it's up there. So I left it. I left the clock because it was like 96 days, I think, ahead. My son left on March the 14th, 2017, to go back to Oklahoma. He's at the airport. I had to order a new debit card, and I'm texting him, and I opened my mail, and I pulled out my new debit. And where they used to just have the day, the month, and the year, this one had 5/31, 2021. And so then I have two siblings that were born on the 20th of a month, and one passed on the 20th of a month. But it goes through my whole family. My mother, my aunt, my mom's sister was born on 9/23. My mom was October 3rd, and her brother was 11/13. But all these cousins were all born, except for myself and another cousin. They're all born on the 31st of the 30th of a month, even our grandparents.
So just to chime in with what I think is, I've noticed that it seems that if a person has a number that's relevant to their birth numerology, it seems that that number will carry on throughout their life. Maybe they'll end up having children that have the same birth numerology, or their best friends will have that same birth numerology. And perhaps even one day they pass and they die on a date with that type of numerology. I've been able to observe that through my own life since becoming aware of this. And there's books written about this even before I was aware of it. And just from having people call in over the years and send me emails, a lot of people notice these synchronicities with a certain number in their life and how it connects their family and friends. For example, 31, you're talking about that. I happen to have my birth numerology, when you break it breaks down to 31 and then 4. My dad's birth numerology is also 31. My two best friends through high school, one of them has a birth numerology of 31. The other one's birthday is March 1st, 3/1. And so, just I have a connection through that number 31 as well. And something I think that's interesting about 31 is, in this code of letters and numbers, the word master does sum to 31, which is the 11th prime number, and 11's the master number. So there's probably something special to that number as well. But I've just found this link. If there's a number that's attached to somebody, it's often the people around them are connected to that number as well. So that's the best way I could explain it.
Well, it's really bizarre, because in 1999, I happened to have gone down to Branson, Missouri to open up one of my dad's businesses. And I started seeing the numbers 444. And I didn't think much of it because, on my VCR at the time, all that. But it carried on to the point where eventually my daughters and people go, oh, gee, there's that number, 444, everywhere, all the time. And then when I was reading the book and going through it, I go, 44, that's the death number. And I've kind of been concerned about that, because everybody in my family is gone. I have one brother left, except for my children. Everyone's gone. And it's like, okay. And I lost my son. And I have people that they crumble. And yeah, I did. But I'm not a quitter. I'm kind of the person that lives outside the proverbial box. My friends were all in our 60s, but they live in the box. I don't. So it was either lie down and die or get up and keep going,
Right.
and find another another way to happiness. Happiness won't come, but joy can be a state of being. But these numbers, I thought maybe one time I could email you or something. You might be able to help me find the right word, like you said, master. Finding those crucial words that I can all add up in association with these individuals. Like 3 people, my uncle, his son, and my grandmother, maternal, all passed away on April 7th. When I was going to have Andrew, he was due on the 22nd of March, 83. He didn't come, and I was worried about April 7th coming because, people had died. And yet he was born at 12:06 a.m. on the 8th. But he did die.
You know what's so interesting about April 7th, in light of what you said, is it's the 97th day of the year. And when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, death equals 97. And,
Wow.
Sometimes I wonder if these patterns were observed, over thousands of years, and somebody just like you, saying, I had all these people die, and it was 97, and somebody else was like, that's strange, I had all these people die and it was 97, and then somebody else was like, oh, that's weird, that happened to me too. And maybe like there's some pattern, there's some real property to numbers in this world, and maybe with all that knowledge over the years, that's how people contrive this code behind our own language, because it is strange, the organic side of it. And it has to be something like that. Like there's some element to numbers, some hidden element, some spiritual element, some whatever you want to call it. Right. But yeah, just your own organic example just feeds into that. So
yeah, it's kind of, well, I don't have anybody to talk to because I have 2 daughters. One lives in Seattle and the other one lives in University Place. I live in Lakewood. But my family's, we came over basically on the Mayflower. So, but I've always been interested in numbers. I've always known that there was something unique about them. And reading your book, and it's not a book for easy reading. I read parts and I'll go back and read something else, or I'll reread it, read another part, because it's so fascinating. There's so much information. I have no idea how you were able to put 773 words down in a book. It could go on forever, but I'm wondering if I could at one time get a hold of you and go over these numbers, and maybe you could help me find the words so that I could somehow find a connection.
Yeah, again, write down my number. So my number to call me on, and I'll always pick it up when I can. It's 509-731 731 0567.
67. Now that's bizarre because we got the 7 and we got the 31.
Yeah, that's funny.
Hey, thank you. I know I'm kind of chatty. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you're doing in this community. I have a YouTube playlist. It's just a YouTube whatever. And I tell people if they're looking for the truth, they can go there. The playlist is for the public. If they want to know the truth, I only deal with facts and all that kind of stuff. But thank you for what you're doing, because these young people that are calling in, gives me hope, because it's the one thing I have. I have hope by faith that this evil that's prevalent in this world today, I don't believe we're going to be wiped out. I have hope.
Me too.
If I can have hope after everybody I've buried, and the young people, I hear them talking to you with a yearning, it gives me hope. So kudos to you, and thank you for taking my call.
You're very welcome, and thank you for calling in, and you be sure to call me on that number. I'll pick it up when I see it. So thank you so much. You have a good night.
And give your folks a thumbs up, because that last chapter, I could only feel love when you were talking about them, and it made my heart warm. So thumbs up, baby. It raised a really good fund.
Well, thank you so much, and I will let them know that. They've never read my book, but I'll tell them they should read it. So
well,
I
yes,
appreciate
they need to. Okay, thank you so much, Jackie. Keep up the good work.
All right, you take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. My own mother, if she read the last chapter, she'd think I was kooky. Let's go out to Missouri. We got a minute till the break, Missouri. If you need more time, we'll continue. You're on.
Yo, what's up? Can I be heard?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Yeah, man. I've been listening to your show for like the past few weeks, man, and it's been really good. I've watched all your videos, or at least the ones that you have up on the new channel. I just want to thank you for the information. I just had a couple of really quick questions for you.
Please.
The first one is regarding the Prodigy death. I was trying to find the information for this on my own, but I'm thinking that it maybe gotten taken down. So once his cause of death was revealed, they said he choked on an egg. Was that some type of riddle?
It was, and off the top of my head, I forget. But remember, he died the weekend of sickle cell awareness, and he died at age 42. That number stamped all over Black history. And it was also, if I remember right, it was the weekend that they were premiering the new Tupac movie, or it was close to that. And he was in Vegas, like Tupac. So, and Tupac had the song "Hit 'Em Up," where he rapped about him and his sickle cell. So there was all sorts of riddles on that. Yeah. Oh, hold on. We're going to break. We'll be right back, everybody. Sit tight. We'll be right back. All right, got interrupted by the commercial again. We'll be right back with that caller during the break, interacting with the chat. Miss Mildred, are you doing a seminar as well as a speech at Anarchadelphia? I'm still waiting to find out all what they want me to do. I know they want me to present this information on the stage to the audience that's there. I don't know if I'm doing any gatherings in a room with people like to teach them this knowledge, but if that opportunity presents itself, yeah, I would be happy to do that. Could have Gematria School in person. And, you know, again, the price is really expensive for this event, and I did not realize that. When I talk to them, I'm going to ask why the ticket price is so high, because it's like, who can afford $350? I mean, that's so much. But for people who do want to come out there and support, again, I'm going to figure out a gathering spot. If it's in a park, it's in a park. Maybe there's a restaurant that has a big room where, you know, I have no idea how many people would come out to say hello in Philadelphia, but maybe there's a, you know, a restaurant with a room where maybe 50 people can fit in, something like that. And if that was the case, you know, I don't know how you guys feel about pizza, but I could buy a whole bunch of pizzas to feed everybody. So I know everybody's not a vegetarian like me, so I accommodate other appetites. But when I'm out there, I'm going to extend it a few extra days too. I'm going to go to New York, and I'm going to go to DC. And my sweet lady, she asked that I'm not gone too long. You know, she gets lonely when I'm not around. So, but I am going to try to set up at least 3 other spots: Philadelphia, New York, DC, where people can meet up for a day, and maybe we can do some public activism and maybe even make a small documentary out of it. You know, this is what it looks like, teaching people about the Gematria on the streets of Philadelphia, New York, and DC. So Dana doesn't eat pizza. You know, there's better food than pizza. I figure if we go to a pizza place, they got salads, some other options. So we'll figure something out. Hey, it's good to see Jeremy here. I haven't seen you around for days, Jeremy. I've been missing you, man. I notice when you're not around. Okay, somebody's putting out their address. I don't know those locations. Maybe that's Philadelphia. I haven't seen the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, but that title's familiar. I'll have to look that up. Okay, predictive programming for 811. I'm going to check it out. All right, we're coming back from the break, Truth Seeker.
You must unite.
We are TFR, Truth Frequency Radio.
Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
Okay, before we go back to the caller, somebody asked what about the Detroit thing you were going to do. I was invited to speak in Detroit in July, and I told them I would be happy to do that. And I don't know, there was no follow-up. So I don't know if they decided they didn't want me at that event. I think I would have been the only white speaker at that event. And I don't know, maybe they didn't want the white guy there. So, or maybe they'll get back to me. It's possible I could end up in Detroit in July, but they asked me about that a few months ago now, and I haven't heard back since. So I said I'd be happy to. They said, great, we'll be in contact soon, and they never got back. So I'll keep you posted on that. But I have a feeling that for whatever reason, they decided they didn't want me. That said, let's go back to the Missouri caller. Sorry, we got interrupted by the break. He was asking about the death of the rapper Prodigy. I think that was a couple of years ago already. Time flies. Caller?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, we're back on.
Yeah, so next question. So it's like, man, ever since I've been, getting into the information of Gematria and stuff like that, it's just like, man, I can't take anything that's coming across my news feed or the TV seriously at this point. So I just wanted to know, like, how do you digest information? Do you just take it all as a riddle? Do you believe some of this stuff is true, or what? Like, I guess kind of what's your mode of thought when dealing with the information and the incoming news and stuff like that?
Sure. So, some news stories might be legitimate, but I mean, if you look at so many things that make international headlines, they'll just make you scratch your head. Like, how often are we hearing about dead hikers in Hawaii? That's not something that's normal, but then when you hear about it, then sure enough, there's one story followed by another story of a dead hiker in Hawaii. It's like, and you just realize how the news does that to you all the time. They'll hit you with a subject, and the next thing you know, there's another related thing, and then sometimes another related thing. It's like, okay, why am I hearing so much about this all of a sudden? So, to me, most of it does seem to be riddles or some hidden meaning. So usually I am looking at it through that lens, like, okay, what are they really trying to communicate here? What's this really about? But there's some news stories that I see, and I'm just like, okay, maybe that's legit. Maybe they just want to report another tragedy to us. But, I mean, if you've been following me, you see what I do. I mostly focus on, the mass shooting propaganda, the latest celebrity death, young person who died for no reason. But the police say is nothing suspicious. And I mean, my overall purpose is to get people to open up their eyes to the lies we're bombarded with every day, what the point of this agenda is, that the world isn't what it seems to most people, that things are rigged, beyond comprehension. And I try to pick and choose the stories each day that most people are interested in to to help people see through what's going on. So.
Yeah, man. Hey, well, I really appreciate the work you do, man. Keep it up. I'm going to keep watching and, soaking in the information. Thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for calling in. You have a good night.
You too.
All right, take care. All right, next up, California.
Hello.
Yes, you're on.
Zach, it's good to speak to you, brother.
It's good to speak to you too. Thanks for calling.
My name is Joseph. I've been following you, man. I came across your channel, man, by mistake, and I'm glad that I did. But I've been binge watching your videos, and lately I've been watching how you come up with conclusions and these numbers and things. So I sat down and I started noticing that Kanye West is popping up in the media a lot right now, and his 42nd birthday is coming up. So I started playing with numbers, and I know that his birthday is June 8th.
Right.
Are you there?
Yes. His birthday is June 8th. I'm listening.
Okay. Which is, so I typed in the Gematria calendar, and it came up to, it's 86, just playing around. And it came up with Kanye West with 123, 33, 120, and 48. And the day, 86 days from his 42nd birthday, falls on Labor Day this year. And Labor Day has the same gematria as Kanye West.
Huh. That's interesting.
It's something. Did you look into that?
I didn't know that, but no, I say that's a really interesting observation. So I'm going to remember that.
Awesome. I was hoping that you would. And another thing that I wanted to elaborate on, the number 17. I noticed that Triple X Tentacion has 17 tattooed on his face, and I just noticed that him and Lil Wayne did a song called Don't Cry. Lil Wayne has the number 17 tattooed on his face too. What is the number 17 about?
So special number there. Just here, we'll do it this way. Just think about the Mason symbolism, the compass with the square and the G. G's the 7th letter. 17's the 7th prime. The word Mason equals 17. Wow. So does the word God. And the Masonic symbolism, what it says essentially is that God is the master geometer of the world, the master mathematician. So you have the capital G for God. Again, that's the 7th letter. God equals 17. So does Mason. And, the God of the Old Testament is El. E-L. E's the 5th letter. L's the 12th. 5 plus 12 is 17. Masonry based in the Old Testament largely. So 17 is a number that connects to God and many different names of God, and also the word Mason. So very, very special number. Plus it's a prime number, and prime numbers show strength because they can't be divided. So 17, the 7th prime. And how many days did God create the world in? Some people might say 6, which is true, but then he rested on the 7th day. So 17, 7, right. Big numbers.
Wow. And then I just wanted to say, man, I appreciate everything that you're doing, man. You really blow my mind with the knowledge that you have, man. It's like you just made me realize everything that I've learned is just fake. It's blowing my mind. So I appreciate your work, man. And like all the other callers are saying, man, please be careful, man, because I think that you're playing with something that you shouldn't be playing with.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying, man. I mean, there could be some greater consequences someday, but somebody's got to fight the fight. So,
Well, we appreciate you, man. We really do, man. And just keep on bringing us the good stuff, man. I'm getting your book tomorrow, man. I got to have it, brother.
You'll love the first chapter. The first chapter is about why are there 26 letters in the English alphabet. 26 is another number connected to God. But you'll the first two. Anybody who reads my book, if you read those first 2 chapters, you will be so far ahead. The first 2 chapters are about 50 pages. You'll be so far ahead.
Right.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
I'm excited. I appreciate you, man, and be safe out there, brother. Much love, man, from the West Coast.
You have a good night. You take care. A lot of first-time callers tonight, which is nice. I don't know what it is about tonight, but we're getting a lot of first-time callers. And here's another great caller. How are you this evening?
Hey, Zach.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Here. It's Denise in Sacramento.
Of course it is. One of my favorite callers.
You're too kind, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. And how about yourself? I know you're watching out for the Oroville situation right now.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. The water level's at 894.75. So that's less than 7 feet from the overtopping of the earthen emergency spillway.
Wow.
Normally when there's snow melt, and we actually had rain last weekend, they draw the dam down this time of year to allow room for all that water from the melting snow to come in. So it's just highly unusual what they're doing, yet even from their own protocols, yet now they've announced that their goal is to have the dam at 900 feet and to keep it there to store water for the summer.
Huh.
So they're almost just about 5 feet away from that. That just seems really irresponsible and wrong. And the dam's only been at 900 feet like 4 times ever.
Huh.
Usually it happens later in the year, like July, the middle of the summer, when there's really no water coming in at that point. So, I mean, this situation continues. Inflow into the lake exceeds outflow. That's been the situation for a long time. That's why the level keeps going up. They're not going to use the main spillway because there's still sandbags and even a porta potty sitting on the spillway.
Huh.
And kind of alarming development in the last few days is that silt, like dirty, dark water, is coming out of the gates. So there's some water trickling out, kind of, and now you can see that there's silt and dark dirt accumulating where the water's flowing out, which not only will erode the dam, with the friction of that, silt and sand, but the gates are like at the 800-foot level of the water. So there shouldn't be silt because the bottom of the lake is 800 feet below that point.
Right.
So the silt's a problem. And there's also a sinkhole developed at the base of the spillway, a major sinkhole that's like bigger than a pickup truck last time I saw it. And there's a lot of erosion all over the hillside. I mean, a shocking amount of erosion and landslides. And there's one substantial landslide that is visibly wet. So some dam experts are saying that even if it doesn't rain and it could fail on a sunny day because of all these other obvious issues that are going on.
Sure. Something I was thinking about this week is sports and tragedy. And I realized that Oroville Dam equals 126 like Oakland. And I'm thinking, okay, it's in the northern, it's not too far from the Bay Area. And Oakland's about to be in the basketball championship. The other year, they just won it on June 12th, 12/6, like Oakland's 126. And Oroville Dam's also 54, like Oracle. The NBA finals start tomorrow, a date with 54 numerology. Oracle's 54. And I noticed the word Oroville alone is 108, like Golden State Warriors, and also like Oracle. So I was just like, man, could they do something with this dam in conjunction with the NBA finals? Because sports and tragedy, that's something we've documented a lot over the years. It wasn't that long ago that we just had the flood in Houston and the burning of LA and how that was all perfectly synced up with the World Series. So.
Well, it's interesting too, because it ties into the Golden Gate. I mean, if the Warriors logo actually has a Golden Gate silhouette on it.
I've actually been told that that's the Oakland Bay Bridge that's on their thing.
No, because the logo shows a suspension bridge.
Okay.
And that the new Bay Bridge is a suspension bridge, but it doesn't really look like that.
Okay.
It looks more that what they have on that logo is the Golden Gate. And there is a suspension bridge at the Oroville Dam.
Huh.
And it's called the Bidwell Bar Bridge.
Huh.
And BBB 222, Simple 222 is like Lucifer Morningstar and Donald John Trump Sr. Also, Bidwell Bar Bridge is 133, and Gematria and Notre Dame Fire is 133 and Simple.
Huh.
And the Bidwell Bar Suspension Bridge was the highest reservoir bridge in North America when it was built in 65. And it was the third highest bridge in the world when it was built. It's a major bridge, and it looks just like the Golden Gate. It has the same towers and the same cable suspended look. And then the Bidwell Bar Bridge was rebuilt and moved to a spot on the lake called Kelly Ridge Park and Boat Ramp. And Kelly Ridge is 108.
Huh. Something else.
Weren't you just talking about 108?
Yeah. Oroville's 108 and Golden State Warriors is 108. And so is Oracle. I also noticed that this name Bidwell Bar Bridge equals 101 like finals, and it's the NBA finals that are about to start. So, very interesting.
108 also equals Illuminati, and also Days of Noah is 108. And 108 is like an 18, which is 666s.
Sure.
And what's really trippy about this bridge, the Kelly Ridge, which is actually the Bidwell Bar Bridge, the suspension spans over bare dirt unless the reservoir is at its full pull elevation of 900 feet.
Huh.
Which is what they say their plan is to have the lake at, which is very weird.
Indeed, huh?
Yeah. And then there's another suspension bridge in Sacramento, and it's called the Tower Bridge. And Tower Bridge is 126, which is the same as Oroville Dam, New Orleans, and Heaven's Gates. And the suspension bridge is on the American River right adjacent to Sacramento State University. And it looks just like the Golden Gate, and it's even painted gold.
Huh.
And the Tower Bridge there in Sacramento marks the halfway point between the Bidwell Bar Bridge at Lake Oroville and the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. It's about 80 miles each way to each point from the one in Sacramento.
Interesting. Huh.
And then Golden Gate is 90 and Simple, which is Sacred Birth, End of the Age. Magician is 90. Marathon is 90. And I feel like if this is some sort of ritual, it's like a birth ritual. And this water will go literally from the Golden Gate at Oroville through a Golden Gate that's painted gold along the American River in Sacramento. And that water will literally go all the way to the Golden Gate in the Bay Area.
It's very
So
interesting.
I feel like it's some sort of birth waters thing, if it's a ritual.
Well, I'm going to keep my eye on all that. Yeah, I hope none of this happens, but the way these people work, it's worth keeping an eye on. So,
thank you for pointing out the Warriors connection, and even that there's a freaking Golden Gate on their logo is too crazy. So I'll be keeping an eye on that.
Indeed. I also noticed the coordinates of the Bidwell Bar Bridge and the dam is the 121st meridian, and Warriors equals 121. Their favorite number. They love to win their games with 121 points. So, yeah.
Wow. Good one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zach. That's all I got.
Well, you always got a lot
here.
All right. Stay strong out there. I know you're... For you, this is a even more personal topic because you're right there in harm's way. So I hope nothing happens, but be safe out there, friend.
Thanks a lot. You take care, Zach.
All right. You have a
Bye
good night.
to all the great viewers and the chatters. You guys are awesome. Have a good night.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Next up is New Jersey. Thank you for your patience, New Jersey.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, it's Dana.
Hey, Dana.
Hey, how are you?
Doing very well. Thank you
Hi,
for
I'm
waiting so long. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. I'm surprised I actually waited that long. I'm a first-time caller.
You are.
And we have a lot of those. So, anyways, I just wanted, there was a couple things that I actually touched on. I was going to talk about you coming to Philadelphia and if you knew like what day you were going to be speaking, but it seems like you don't know that yet.
I don't have that information yet. I know it's either going to be September 13th, 14th, or 15th. It's one of those 3 days, but I'm still waiting to hear back. So.
All right. I'm definitely going to be there because I want to support you doing that. I'm really close to Philadelphia. I know lots of places, you know, if you need assistance with that, you know, where people could meet up at.
Well, that would be great information to have. So please do share.
Yeah, so I will. They're really not on my mind at this moment. But, you know, I just wanted to, you know, talk about Rambo earlier. He kind of blew my mind a little bit, talking about certain things. He was talking about the word ton. And, you know, I just oftentimes think about, you know, the organic side of this in my life. And it really blew my mind. You know, my brother, when I found you, I started, you know, relating numbers to my personal life. And my brother was born on July 4th, 1976. And, you know, he has mental illness. And then at some point, I typed mental illness into the Gematrinator, and it equals 47, which just blew my mind even more. And the numbers just get weirder from there. His full name and my dad's full name equal 223, which just freaks me out. But, you know, I just think that that's all crazy. But my brother, he's been in and out of mental hospitals and on drugs, and he's 42 right now, and he's actually about to get out soon. And you know, in the winter time, he disappeared for a while and showed up at Cooper Hospital in Camden under a fake name. He called himself Brick Pock, which is just, and he called me out of everybody. He called me, and I went there, and he for years, my brother has just, he's never researched anything, but he's always just said these very interesting things. You know, people say the word woke, but I don't like to say that. Blatant things, but he borders, you know, this other world because he started doing drugs because at some point, I don't know what happened to him, but he started telling me that he was molested as a child. He was talking about a family member, and he was dead serious. And you know, I can tell the difference between, you know, when he's in a psychosis and when he's telling something, you know, factual, and he's like, you know, people don't listen to me, no one believes me, and it just blew my mind. And you know, sometimes I've heard callers call in and they talk about things like this happening. So my brother, you know, what has he got tattooed on his stomach? 8 tons.
Huh.
Like literally, the number 8 and TON. And he just laughs about it, but he doesn't give you an explanation of what is, and that just killed me. And the town that we live in, I don't live there anymore. Is Marlton, which was like, I couldn't even deal with that either. But it's just so weird. And you had said that they had satanic gematria before, which was really interesting to me. Evesham is a heavily policed town. They're like the first town, I think, in the US that had the body cams.
Huh.
It's wild there. I've had some interesting experiences with the police there. I actually moved out because of them.
Sure.
They're just, it's you go there and there's 50 cops that, like, you just see them all the time. But we had also our mayor in Marlton was a kicking coach for some football team. Randy Brown, his name's Randy Brown. He's totally weird. He's not the mayor anymore. But and then Christina Grimmie on American Idol, a contestant, she was murdered.
Right.
So all these things, it's kind of like it's a weird town. Honestly, it's very weird. I think someone in the chat room had told me something about Nike missile base there a long time ago. It's just, just the numbers, they just kind of blow my mind about things. And then I started typing in like our last name, and our last name equals 68. My mom died when she was 68. Her name's Carol, and it's 86 in it, and 49, and she was born in 49. And then there's 32 in there, and I was born when she was 32. And it's just so interesting to go on. But it's just, I just rambled. So,
well, it's okay. It's been a great call. That Christina Grimmie death that you brought up, that was during the time of the NBA Finals, and I think she died in Orlando or something like that. But yeah, that was really bizarre. I'd have to go back and look at that. So that was your community. Sit tight because we're going to commercial, and we'll be right back. So stay right there, and we'll continue the conversation. Okay, we're on the commercial break. We got a couple minutes interacting with the chat. If you got any good questions, now's a good time to ask. If I skip your question, I'm not skipping on purpose. It's just my eyes are just trying to scan everything. So I don't know anything about the qualifying duels for the World Cup. I haven't done any research on that. So sorry, I don't have the answer for that. I don't know anything about how ticket prices are divvied up for the event in Arkadelphia. I don't know anything about that. All I know is they're covering my flight and hotel. So I don't think this is an event that we get paid for, but I'm just happy that somebody invited me to speak somewhere. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Black Mirror. I haven't seen the show before. Black Mirror. I'll remember the name though. What do I think about Sir Winston in the Belmont Stakes? I haven't looked at I haven't done the research on the Belmont Stakes yet, so you're a week ahead of me. I will be doing that though on the Patreon page. Huh. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at her death. I remember it was something connected to the NBA Finals. There were some bizarre Orlando stories besides hers at the time. It was around the time of the Pulse nightclub shooting too. Okay, going back to the show, I didn't see the Alex Trebek headline. I'll have to check it out. Okay, we should be coming back from the break here. All right, we're back. Truth Seeker. It's the final 30 minutes. There are probably 12 people on hold. Some just called in the last 10 minutes. Since it's the final 30 minutes, if you can keep your call to about a minute or two, it'll help us get through everybody on the line. So let's go back out to Dana so she can finish her thoughts. You're back on, Dana.
All right. So, hi.
Hello.
You know, one thing that about the girl dying, Christina Grimmie, that I wanted to touch base on, at the same time in our town, a boy from high school committed suicide, and he was bullied, apparently, but it was covered up. You know, no one wanted to admit that he was actually bullied, but a lot of the kids were saying that. My daughter was in that school. And it was just crazy to see in the community because everybody was just so focused on Christina Grimmie, and the mayor was talking about this, and people they set up a GoFundMe, and she had like 50 grand that that their family collected, who were actually like wealthy, and I believe that the producers maybe of the show helped pay for the funeral expenses, I heard. But there's other families with poor boys that got bullied and committed suicide, got like $1,000, and like nobody talked about it. I just want to point that out because that's just a huge problem in our society, you know, where people look at, you know, someone that just because they are on TV, but then there's a person that, you know, was something terrible happened to them and like no one talked about it. So I just wanted to point that out because that drives me crazy. It makes me sad.
Indeed. Yeah. All these needless tragedies. So.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll get off now. I'll go to the next caller. And one thing my brother said to me, one of the last things he said when I saw him before he went to Encore for a long time, he said that Satan talks through CNN, and he ain't lying.
Right. Funny.
So, all right, goodbye. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Thanks, Dana.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, Vermont, thank you for your patience.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, what's up, man?
Great show so far. Good callers. Your caller talking about the dams. I remember reading about Agenda 21. They're talking about getting rid of all the dams in the nation. So maybe this is kind of their lazy, irresponsible way of doing that, just making them too little or not fixing them, or you know, all these freak storms coming out of nowhere.
Sure, that's a good point.
Yeah. So I tried to make it to either New York or Philadelphia. So I guess let it be known where you're going to be and try to get down there.
I will do that. As soon as I know what my schedule is in Philadelphia, then I'm going to try to put everything else out so people have time to plan. But the goal right now is Philadelphia, New York, DC, and try to be in those cities for a couple days each. So.
Well, that'd be great to get all these truth seekers together, and
Indeed. Yeah, it would be very exciting. So it should be something special.
So I didn't actually see going to the NBA playoffs. What's his name? I can't remember pronounce his name. Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard.
Guy Leonard. Thanks. His shot that won Game 7. Have you seen that?
The one that bounced all over the place?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was the craziest shot. I showed it to a friend because I was like, that doesn't look normal to me. Some guy throws up some heave and it bounces off the front of the rim and goes high up in the air, and then it looks like it just stays on the rim like way too long and goes in.
Right. And 20 years earlier, Vince Carter, who was drafted by Golden State and played for the Raptors, 20 years earlier, he took that same shot and missed it. And the Raptors ended up losing against Philadelphia, whereas the Raptors beat Philadelphia this time. And that entire series was synced up with Kawhi's birthday. The day he made that shot was 317 days after his birthday, which is the 66th prime number, and the Raptors got their 66th win of the season. 313 days from his birthday, the 65th prime, the Raptors got their 65th win, and so on. That whole series went like that, perfectly synced with Kawhi. He is one of the league's biggest stars. He's not real outspoken, but I mean, he's one of the best players in the game. So I guess it's his year. Oh, shoot. His call dropped. Huh. That's too bad. Well, I do appreciate you calling in and bringing up that point. I don't know what happened to your call, friend. I'm sorry. Let's go back out to Las Vegas.
Hello. Hey, Zach. What's up, man?
Hey, thanks for calling back.
Oh, no, this is a different call. This is the next caller.
Oh, I know, but you've called in before. I'm just saying thanks for calling back.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for recognizing that call.
Of course.
Yeah, I just wanted to make this quick. I know you got some of the callers on, but quick point here. I've been so I've gotten most of my family members to contribute on this. I actually got my uncle to start looking into it, and my brother as well. So there's like me, my brother, my two uncles, and my mom actually are looking into Gematria now. I'm starting to teach them it. They actually embraced it, so I think that's a good thing.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's a good thing. But another thing I wanted to note out is that yeah, man, it's crazy because I had a childhood friend that I knew for years, for like 20-something years now, and he called me the other day recently because I haven't been in contact with him in so long, and he said, "What's up, man? What you up to?" And I told him about Gematria, and he replied back and told me I was on drugs. Because Gematria is He's like, "Man, you're on drugs, man." He's like, "You really believe that, man?" He's like, "Man, that stuff is all coincidence, and don't believe it." And it really kind of hurt me a little bit because that's one of my childhood friends. But then again, I was like, wow, the truth really, it does stuff to people when they hear the truth. Some people just can't handle it, So.
Well, pretty much all my childhood friends abandoned me when I started talking about this information. And that's what, motivated me to say, all right, well, I'm going to prove that I'm not crazy and this is what's going on. And then I started the blog and the YouTube channel, and eventually the radio show came. So, I mean, it is too bad that so many people react that same way. It's a very common reaction to say it's crazy and coincidence, and people are programmed. I mean, it's something about the truth, like you said, man. It sends people into that kind of response mode.
Yeah, and it was just heartbreaking because my childhood friend, like, he's actually older than me, like years older than me, and I seen him as a mentor. He would teach me things when I was younger because he was a little older than me, So, and then for him to respond this way, it was like, we live in such a crazy world out here that people just get real programmed and they can't get out of it, to that point. Because he was teaching me things at one point, and then for him to respond that way, it's like, wow, like, it's a little bit of a shocker. But another thing I wanted to actually ask you a question because, I always do, I do my own decodes now with sports and stuff. But I came across this. So you already know about the whole Michael Jordan 113, Kobe Bryant 113, 678 thing. But I typed in Homer Bailey and it comes to the exact same thing. And Homer Bailey's like a pitcher for the Royals.
For KC. K's the 11th letter and C's the 3rd. So he plays for the 11-3 team. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, well, what's that about? Because his name comes to 678 too, and Sumerian Gematria, just like Kobe and Jordan. And I'm like, Homer Bailey, why is his name exact matching numbers as these guys? So I'm like, what does he have to do with that riddle?
Well, he might not be connected to that riddle. You know, Jordan and Kobe are definitely connected through those numbers. They retired 678 weeks apart to the day. But
right.
You know, anyone whose name equals 113 with the alphabetic order is going to equal 678 in Sumerian, because that's how that cipher works. It's just the alphabetic order times 6. 113 times 6 is 678. So you can see why Homer Bailey, though, with the 113 name, is pitching on KC 11-3. But you know, you can't just link everything together because they have the same numbers, because some of the riddles, you know, they're separate. And 113 is a special number to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which has a lot of influence over sports. And you might find that the history of all three of those men, you know, they have Scottish Rite connections in their family and whatnot. So that could be the greater connection, but it doesn't mean that Homer Bailey synced up with Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I'm understanding that. But yeah, it was just tripping me out because I'm like, you know, because when I do these beat codes, I look up so many names and I'm seeing all these numbers matching up, and I'm like, it kind of gets a little crazy sometimes. So.
Sure. And people do that. They'll just start linking everything that has the same number. I don't do that. I mean, there has to be some sort of relationship that makes sense. Like Kobe and Michael make sense. Kobe's from Philly. Michael played his last game in Philly. So you see that riddle.
Right. And then they always compare those two players all the time.
Exactly.
You know, Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. So
right.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to bring up those quick points, and also, you know, like I said, I'm starting to get my family involved in it now. So it's actually, I'm just really thankful, man, that you've been able to share this information. And like I said, it's a whole family of people, you know, catching on to this, and that's rare. You know, you rarely get that, where you have a whole family willing to, you know, research it and look at it. You know?
Right.
I'm just thankful for that. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna let you get to the other callers, man. I'm gonna stay in touch, man.
All right. Stay strong out there. It's too bad about your friend, but we all know how that goes. At least your family listen. All right, man.
Yeah, definitely. I will. I don't know. You know, like I said, that was one of my childhood friends, and man, to hear that, and he said, man, like, we were literally going at it for like 30 minutes over the internet. Like, he messaged me on Facebook, and he just kept messaging like, man, you're on drugs, this and that. He's like, man, don't believe that bullshit. He was trying to send me videos to try to debunk it, saying, haven't you seen this debunked? I could debunk this and all this other stuff. And I'm like, dude, no, it's all legitimate. And I started, you know, messaging him, like, you know, numbers that makes, you know, numbers and scenarios. And he said, man, that's all coincidence. All this is coincidence. And
show him that thing about Ashton Kutcher tonight. Show him that if you talk to him again, and just say, how can all this be coincidence? Why would they wait all these years? So, yeah. All right, friend. I appreciate it, man. You have a good night. Let me know how it goes.
All right. Thank you. I'll keep in touch.
All right. Take care, man. All right. Let's go out to a great caller in Arizona. What's going on, man?
Hey, I wasn't going to call in tonight, man.
I'm glad you did.
I had to, man, after you told me your story about 31, man.
Oh, okay.
I always felt like I had a connection with you. You know, I've never met you, but I just feel that connection, right? You want to guess my birthday?
Is it March 1st? January 3rd? It's got to be one.
Yeah.
Which one?
Oh, March 1st, man. March 1st, just like your childhood friend.
Hey, my best buddy, his name's Adam, right? And him and I went down to college together and we're roommates. And they used to call us brothers from A to Z because he was Adam and I was Zach. But yeah, his birthday's March 1st too. That's funny. And you're down in Arizona. So.
Yeah, it's weird, man, the way things, this organic side of it, the way it is. There's something definitely to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's funny.
I didn't have a whole lot tonight. I just wanted to throw that in.
I had to call for that. But there's this show on Netflix. It just debuted on May 24th, so it came out on a pretty interesting day, 144th day of the year. It's called What If. Have you heard about it?
What If? Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, you got to check this out. Go check out the trailer of it. But let me see here. I had something pulled up. Just gives a little description. I've only seen one or two. Man, dude, I had it up. How was it? Oh, here it is. It's an American thriller. So it talks about, created by Mike Kelly. And what was it gave a description of it. Basically, it's when, just normal. Okay, here it is. It says the ripple effects of what happens when acceptable people start doing unacceptable things. But just make sure you see the very beginning of it. And what's trippy about this show is they keep showing, like, there's these different characters in it, but every time it seems like they go to a different scene, they got to show you the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
What if equals 67? What if equals 67? So I see why it had that. They brought it out in 2019, 67 to 19th prime. But what's interesting is, like, I don't know, man. They just keep showing the Golden Gate Bridge over and over. And even in one scene, they showed like a puppy or a dog. And I think I remember you showing us some story about the Golden Gate and this puppy. I can't remember
that dog. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I have to go back. It's some Pomeranian or something. I have to go back and look at that story.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, but it's weird too, because Golden Gate, I didn't realize Golden Gate equals 239 in Jewish. 239 is a 52nd prime. And I was just thinking about your prior call, or a few callers ago, the woman who calls in. She was talking about this, this flood. Flood equals 52. They like to do their weather stuff on, 52 date numerology.
Right.
But I just thought that's interesting. They keep showing the Golden Gate. And this just, debuted May 24th, the 144th day of the year. And we know that's a number connected to time.
Huh. Okay, I'm gonna look that up. What If? It's on Netflix, you said?
Yeah, it's first season. I guess they've got 10 episodes out. I've seen a couple of them, but make sure you see the very beginning, Just a young couple, they just, they're on hard times, and basically, they get pulled into something. And it's just like, they're telling you what goes on in this industry too, of entertainment stuff. It's just like so obvious, that this is the kind of stuff that happens and goes on. So it looks pretty interesting, man. I'm sure you'll find some interesting stuff in it too, because that's what they're doing, man. They keep showing us that Golden Gate Bridge. It seems like every scene. I told my wife, I said, why do they keep showing that? She's like, oh, it's just because it's, in San Francisco. And I just kind of had to laugh. I'm like, yeah, right. Show us the bridge, man. And then I saw the one scene where they had this puppy, and I started thinking, I'm like, oh my God, I remember you did a story on that. It was something that was all lined up.
Right.
Probably with August 11th.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. It was the world's cutest stuff.
Get to the rest of the callers, man, but the 31, man, I had to call. I was like, well, I got to call in now because, I know I've always had a connection with this guy. I got to call in. It's just weird the way this world does work. There is something organically to it. That's why we know these people are all about it, and it's our whole world. It's just unfortunate we can't get enough of people around us to see this is the way the world operates, and these people are manipulating it, and this is how they do it, and I think you've proven that, a million times over now, Zach. You just did that video. It was a great video on a follow-up on Slipknot. And then the video, that was great, man. I mean, and just think about it. You cracked this and knew what was going on, even when you knew only 2 codes. You only knew the 2 ciphers. That's it.
Right.
And you proved it then. Now we know the other piece of the puzzle, and these dummies still don't see it.
I know, man. Sometimes I say, what is it going to take? I mean, but I realize more and more people are coming around. So
Yeah, and I sympathize with your callers, man. I go through the same stuff, man. I've had people I haven't seen in, 20, 30 years, and I run across this, and I throw this at them, and, oh, yeah, I think you've just kind of gone off the deep end a little bit. Well, shut the F up, man.
Right.
Get out of my face. I have no time for these people. Go back to your life. That, you want to believe all that lies, go for it, man.
They do.
You're a sucker. That's how I look at it. You're a sucker.
I agree. So it's too bad, though.
All right, guys. Hey, man, have a great show as always. And all right, man. Be talking soon.
All right, thanks, man. You have a good night. Always good to hear from you.
You too, brother.
What else I love about that guy is he's a postman, and he has the same birthday I now know as my best friend who I went to college with, someone who else also thinks I went off the deep end with this. But his brother is also my really good friend, his older brother, and he's a postman too. And his older brother gets this. He's not crazy about it like I am, but he gets it. He doesn't deny it. He knows what's up. All right, let's go out to South Carolina. What's going on? South Carolina?
Yeah, the guy who just got his call about a TV show. If you guys want to read a book, there's a book called The Kabbalah Killings, a murder mystery introduction to Jewish mysticism.
Really?
It's 150 pages. It's the best book you're gonna read. It's fiction with the air quotes, but if you study this, All right, peace.
Awesome, man. The Kabbalah Killings. I got to get that book. Thank you. He already hung up on me. That was fast. He said it's 150 pages. That's funny because Illuminati equals 150. See my video on Ashton Kutcher today. And just realize I forgot to talk about, if you watch that video, just realize the one piece I forgot is the murder was the night of the 43rd Grammys. And they waited to try this killer until he's 43 years old, plus a whole lot more. The Kabbalah Killings. All right, I got to get that book. Dayton, Ohio.
Hey, Zach, shout out to you from Dayton, long-time listener, a long time. I've been with you since the early days of the Gematria when you were using, what was it, Gematrix or something?
Oh, I thought you were going to say when I was back on the whiteboards, but yeah, I used to use Gematrix too. Okay.
Yeah, I want to say two things. One, Homer Bailey, I can't stand that guy because he's sexual attention. His whole big thing is that he had two no hitters for the Reds and got paid for it. And his birthday is weird because his birthday is May 3rd, I believe. And the Big Bank down in Cincinnati was drafted by the Reds. The Big Bank in Cincinnati is 5th 3rd. So I always found that funny because 5th 3rd, May 3rd, his birthday is like the banks was paying for, him to suck and be a loser. So when somebody mentioned Homer Bailey and the fact that he's 33 right now and pitches for the Royals, I found that kind of interesting.
And speaking of the 5/3 bank, that reminds me that on the opening day of last NFL season, there was a shooting in Cincinnati at a 5/3 bank. It was on a date with 53 numerology, and I was like, look at that. That's a riddle for this NFL season.
Yes, sir. I was there. I wasn't downtown, but I was actually in Cincinnati that particular day. And what's weird is with the area that was in, I remember sending you a message around that time, that area that it's in. There was no way for that to happen. I knew it was a false flag as soon as it happened because I said, people can walk in the way they said he walked in. Was like down through like a certain gateway, and I said it's closed off. There's no way he could have did that. Like it was just insane. And I tried to tell people it was a false flag, and there was a lot of stuff going on. That particular time, like the FBI was there so fast, all these other people, and I'm like, come on, this is just a joke to me. And then I remember that. Around that time too, the Bengals, I forget who they played, but I knew for a fact they were going to win like their very first game. I think they won their first couple because of what was going on with the 5th 3rd shooting and all that stuff.
Right. They beat the Colts. They beat the Colts and the Ravens at the beginning of the season with the same score, and there was some deeper riddle to that because again, the Colts used to be in Baltimore, but it might have even been right after that 5/3 shooting. I have to go back and look at it all, but yeah, you're right on.
And one quick thing with the Colts have a deeper riddle too. They're originally, if you go all the way back to the back channels, originally the Dayton Triangles, the first game up until they found out it was an Indian burial ground around here, was at Triangle Park, which is literally about 10 miles away from me. Triangle Park used to have NFL football, back in the early 1900s. And they moved from the Dayton Triangles to some other team, then to Baltimore. And then I realized the thing with Mark Cassie, that he's from Indianapolis. The Preakness was in Baltimore Colt. I was just like, Jesus, man. I mean, they're so spot on with this stuff. It's like clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
But what I wanted to ask you about is Dayton had, now they're saying 13 tornadoes. My kid's grandmother, a tornado actually went through her house, and she lost everything. It's insane because that night, this actually happened on Monday, and I was wondering if there was a way you could do maybe a quick decode, or maybe later on figure out what was going on with our area where, I knew it was more than one because they were like, well, there's one here, and then there was one here, and they said in a span of maybe an hour or two, there were 13 tornadoes in the Dayton area, which in my lifetime, there hasn't been one tornado inside the city of Dayton at all.
Sure.
And I was wondering if you could put that together for us, because there's a lot of people. And speaking of that, I can send you a link on YouTube. There's a video of The Simpsons, I guess in January, where The Simpsons, out of all places in the world, visit Dayton, Ohio, and then there's a tornado when they visit.
Huh. All right, I'm gonna have to look that up. I didn't know about it, but I will look it up. We're out of show, everybody. The music's about to kick in. Sorry to the people I didn't get to on hold. Please call back next week. Madison, Phoenix, saw some other numbers there. I will get you next week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Be back next Wednesday. You have a good night. All right. Sorry to the people who were on hold on the radio show. You might not even hear me right now. I always ask if people can keep the call to a minute or two, but it never happens. People got lots to say. So I also have some bad news. My nephew invited me to his high school graduation, and it's scheduled for next Wednesday night. And I just told you guys I wasn't going to miss any more shows for a long time. So I might break my promise. I might have to miss next Wednesday's show. I think I should probably be at my nephew's graduation. So I'll tell you what, if I miss next Wednesday's show, what I'll do is I'll make a makeup show. It won't be on TFR Live, but I'll do a 3-hour live stream on YouTube. Okay, so that'll be the deal. And I think I would do that Thursday night, the next day. So I didn't see that one coming. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there for tonight. I'm pretty sure after next Wednesday, I won't miss any shows for a real long time. So, and appreciate everyone who does listen every week and contributed. One more thing I need to do before I go. Let me figure out how to look this up. They changed the. Let me see if I can figure it out. They changed the layout. If you have a YouTube channel, you know how they changed the layout recently. Let me see if I can find where super chats are at now. It's got to be a spot. Because people asked me questions through super chat. I wasn't paying attention to the chat during the show. I can't look at the chat and listen to the callers at the same time. So I have to look at a blank screen and listen. Okay. So looks like there were 4 super chats. Thank you very much. Taylor said, "You the man." Well, thank you, Taylor. Somebody said, "Explain the swastika." I did see that. You know, just another symbol they inverted. That person did 2 super chats. There's lots of information out there on the swastika and what its meaning was prior to World War II when it got associated with Nazism. Before then, it was a symbol of peace and love, so wasn't the first time a symbol was inverted. And another person left a blank super chat, so I guess not a lot of questions tonight, but thank you very much. So I'll check the chat going on right now to see if anybody has any last questions. Jesse Spots Show. I got to look that up. I don't know that one. Jesse Spots Show. Marty says the Warriors logo is the eastern span of the Oakland Bay Bridge. I'd heard that that's what it was as well, but I guess Golden State, Golden Gate, you know, the land of bridges, the symbolism's still there. Well, the thing is, having Derek run the Truth Frequency radio show, we're not supposed to give out our password because so there's multiple things I have to do to connect to the show. I have a Skype account that I pay for that I have to connect to a landline with. So he'd have to have my Skype account. And then there's a website I have to log into on my browser, and that's the password we're not supposed to give out. We're told that at the beginning, no giving out your password to anyone. So technically I couldn't, you know, if Derek was on the show, they'd be like, well, how's this working out? So I probably can't do that, unfortunately. And I don't know if Derek even wants to. However, I have noticed Derek's making more videos recently. So this comment that somebody left about everyone in Hollywood's down with the program. There's a movie called The Invitation. The Invitation, I've talked about this before. If you have not seen this movie, check it out. And if it seems boring to you at first, just trust me, just finish the movie. The Invitation. It's about, you know, some nefarious things going on in the Hollywood upper circles. And if you do watch the movie till the end, you'll be like, okay, this is why Zach asked me to watch this movie. And if you type in The Invitation, let me type it in myself just to make sure that I have the title of the movie right. I'll know right away. Yep, it is called The Invitation. You'll notice right away that The Invitation has that number 67. And if you follow my work, you know all about 67. But you'll understand why the movie has that title as well. So The Invitation, Hollywood, Hollyweird. Well, Mr. 777, you should do it then. I can't. Richie Valens, he's from the day the music died, right? I'm pretty sure his death is in my book. February 3rd, 1959. 34th day of the year, murder 34. And that was also a date with 83 numerology. Murder's also 83. So there were a number of deaths in that. Am I thinking of the right thing? That's the plane crash that killed multiple musicians, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of musicians died in that. They flew out of Mason City. So, yeah, all of those deaths are covered in my book for those men. That's the day the music died. You know, I don't think anybody needs to prep for August 11th. It's just like, did you have to prep for September 11th? Most of us weren't prepared. You know, we were just blindsided, but we survived. So I don't think anyone needs to prep for August 11th. I think you'll be just fine unless, you know, it's just like almost everybody on September 11th was just fine unless they were in the World Trade Center And unless they were in that wing of the Pentagon, unless they were in the middle of the field where Flight 93 supposedly disintegrated. So I wouldn't freak out about August 11th. The whole point is just to recognize the patterns these people work in and how they foreshadow their plans. So Linda wants to know how she can participate in learning about how sports are rigged and see if she can make a few nickels there. Every single day, 7 days a week right now, I'm doing a morning podcast, or not podcast, it's a YouTube presentation just like this on Patreon, where we decode the sports games and look at what we expect the outcomes to be. And most days go very well. We were on a hot streak for going on nearly a month. If you bet on every pick I said for the last month straight, you would have won. You would have been in the plus territory every single day. But I haven't looked at today's games, but the games that I saw today that I called, it wasn't looking good. I think we had a pretty bad day today. So I still haven't looked at all the games, but it was looking like today might have broken our streak of nearly a month straight of, doing really well. And that happens. Some days just things don't follow the typical patterns that we look at every single day. But, if you'd won for a month straight and you lost today, it's not the end of the world. So, but things were looking pretty curious today from the last scores I saw before the show started. Well, we all do need to start local agriculture. I 100% agree about that. That's the one thing that I would really like to say that I'm doing right now that I'm not. So. Barry on HBO, the license expires August 11th. Interesting. Okay, Jesse Spots. All right, I got to remember this name. Jesse Spots. I searched his name and okay, I got his name. I'll get in contact, or try to at least. What's my divine number that I know? I don't know exactly what your question means. What's your divine number you know? Do you just mean like the number connected to my birth numerology? If that's what you're asking me, I'm considered a number 4. Okay, and yeah, you told me to look up this channel because they mentioned Gematria. Okay, I got it up on the screen too, so I'm making my list of things to look into. Okay, yeah, I will check it out. All of the sports championships are more than just sport. They're always connected to greater rituals and what's going on in the world and in the news cycle. Yeah. Simple Truth TV. He says Godfather actor Carmine Caridi's death. He says it could be a Super Bowl riddle with the Redskins. I'll have to look at it. So it looks like this just happened. Dead at 85. So I see why you're saying that, because National Football League's 85, and I believe Washington Redskins is 85. So looks like that was today's news. I didn't know about it. I missed it. '85. You know what it really makes me think of is in light of him being the Godfather, they were calling LeBron the Godfather through these NBA finals. He's obviously not in it this year, but basketball's 85. And a lot of those, in the time they were calling him the Godfather, he was facing the Warriors a lot who are in the finals. So just based off what I've tracked in the past about the Godfather and LeBron, just search Godfather LeBron James. You'll see all the headlines from years past. I'm thinking there might be a basketball riddle here, because basketball is also 85. He's dead at 85. Don't forget the name Stephen means crown. You know, you had all the years of King James versus Stephen, the two guys born in the same hospital in Akron, Ohio. Somebody says, look up Handsome Truth. He completely destroyed Zach, exposing him as a Greenblatt. No, he didn't, because I'm not a Greenblatt, you know. Anybody who shares that story just sounds like an idiot, because it was me who put out the information that my dad doesn't know who his dad is, and he thought maybe he might be related to a Greenblatt. That doesn't make you a Greenblatt. So... I didn't know about the Biggest Loser contestant who died. There's just so many headlines. Let me search. Dead at 30. Let me make sure Biggest Loser doesn't equal 113. That would be something if it did. Okay, it doesn't. I'd have to look more into that story. Or whoops, I typed it wrong. I'll look more into that story. I didn't know about it until just now. Biggest Loser. Okay. I'm sorry, man. I was going to let you go even with a little bit of trolling, but I just got to say goodbye. I think I know what story you're talking about. The woman who got killed in DC while jogging. It was a very numerology oriented story. So I think that's which one you're talking about. Well, he was calling everybody dumb and just trolling. That's why I got rid of him. So all right, you guys, we'll leave it there. Be back. I'll do the makeup show next week, okay? So we'll leave it there. Have a great rest of your night or day, depending on where you are in the world. And if you're on Patreon, I'll see you in the morning. Till next time.